Harris is back, so too Shannon Hearn, and returning to the side as well is Elliot Yeo. While for the Bombers, they've also got a couple of reasonable inclusions. Laverde has made a big impact with his absence, but he returns after a week, or a couple of weeks rather, since round 7 with a shoulder injury. Matt Guelphy returns as well. Though Dylan Shield, who was named to play, will not be a part of the side tonight. Both teams have made late changes. For the Bombers, Dylan Shield is omitted. Coming into the side is the tall figure for his first game of the season in Nick Bryan. Their sub is Massimo D'Ambrosio. While for the West Coast Eagles, they've decided to omit late Callum Jamieson from the team, bringing in a midfielder in Xavier O'Neill, and Greg Clark will be the sub for the West Coast Eagles. Let's find out what our experts think will happen here tonight at Perth Stadium as the Eagles are about to make their way out onto the ground. The Bombers warming up as we speak. Great to have him with us once again, Brownlow medalist in Shane Woden, and for the very first time on Grandstand AFL, dual West Coast Premiership coach, dual Premiership player, and I should say a Premiership coach as well, John Worsfold. Welcome to you both. Great to have you on board. What are we expecting this evening, John?
Well, as we have talked about, everyone wants to see a response from West Coast. I've got no doubt that will happen. These players will come out and crack in, and hopefully they can hold their own for a fair chunk of the night. They're still a very young side. Those older players coming in will give a steady hand, a lot of good communication on the field, but they're still surrounded by youngsters. So they're up against it, but hopefully they can get off to a start, get their confidence up. That will be a big boost for them. And what about wearing the other club that you coach, the Bombers side of things? What do you expect from the Bombers tonight? Yeah, the Bombers will be a little bit nervous. You know, there's... I've learned the Bombers and Carlton in particular, those two clubs, they seem to get nervous when they're playing in a game that they're expected to win. They start to see the negative side of everything. But this Bombers unit have been around for a while now. They're starting to understand the pressure that comes with wanting to win games of footy regularly. I think they'll be pretty stable tonight, and it won't be easy for them, but I think they'll be too classy over the course of 4 quarters.
Yeah, good evening everybody. G'day Clint. Really important for West Coast today. Like that experience that comes in also gives, I think, the younger group around them a little bit of confidence that they've got some seniority out there and some leadership, no doubt. Really one bad one last week against the Hawks, and probably around the inconsistency that we've seen throughout the year with them, and just to be able to do it for longer, which we want to see tonight. And I think that starts around the contest and what they deliver in that part of the game, and then, you know, can they defend the ground? You know, I don't want to see Essendon tonight transition the footy with ease like Hawthorn did last week too. So can they lock the foot in their front half and defend and get their system right? And there's going to be gaps, there's going to be holes, there's going to be times where it does get through. But I want to see that. Don't care what their offense looks like tonight. I want to make sure their contest game and their defense is solid, and then try and strangle Essendon the other way. Be interesting to see what type of game style Essendon play tonight too. You know, they went 140 or so uncontested marks last week. So, you know, do they go a bit quicker against this team with a young group, or they try and really make West Coast defend? So, yeah, and interesting with the ruck situations. Take out Jamieson when Essendon playing 2 rucks. So Bailey Williams, it might be Waterman who pinch hits again, you know, which we've seen a little bit this year. So, you know, Williams, who's growing, isn't he? As this year goes on, he's getting better and better, and with confidence in the team and the system, how they're going, he'll be up against Draper. It'll be a big contest in that one. But I think Essendon, by the end of the night, will have to get legs. So, John, take us into the rooms when you are in the situation that the West Coast Eagles are in right now. We understand, and the coach himself admitted, and I thought the honesty from Adam Simpson was terrific this week. Look, confidence is low after what we've been through. What sort of message do you give your group of players as they're about to come out tonight? Yeah, look, my guess is it would be around individual roles. Players just understanding exactly what's expected of them and cracking in and playing that role while they're learning the speed of the AFL footy, the pressure that comes with it. Focus on what your role is for the team. Work hard with your teammates. That's where the senior players coming back in, their voice and hopefully calmness out there will help those guys keep focused, because young players, their minds can wander from just doing the job. They can start thinking, this guy's got a couple of early kicks on me. Am I going to be out of the team next week? You want them just focusing on playing footy. You know, just trying to be uninhibited, just play the game. They've got drafted because they're talented kids.
just bring your best footy. I think you can really bring it back to the basics when you're a young learning team.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Roll only, nothing more, nothing less, and focus on that too. So, I hope to see tonight a little bit of Ruben. Doesn't look like right now he's out in the middle, but love to see Ruben play a little bit more behind the ball and get to use his strengths, which he did. His strengths is to be able to use the ball by foot. He can run and carry it and kick it, and I'd love to see him at times just play a bit behind the ball, not get bashed and crashed as an inside mid, and let the experience of the West Coast midfield go to work on that, and just getting buffeted a lot. Just becomes a tackling machine, which he's been very good at, but you want to see his talent come to the fore, and that's why he was drafted.
So what, if you're West Coast, do you do about Zach Merritt? Outstanding last week, 39 disposals for the captain, and has been in wonderful form. Do you decide to send someone to him specifically, or would you be hoping that maybe the way that you're setting up throughout your midfield that you'll be able to do the job as a group? What would you be thinking tonight if you're Adam Simpson and his coaching staff?
I think Zach Merritt's a hard to tag. He's an inside-outside player, so he can go wherever. It's like Dacos a little bit, where he can play inside, go outside, go to wing, go to half-back, and drop the tag pretty quickly. Without disrupting your system a little bit, probably go head-to-head early, and then if it starts to get right off the chain, well, then you might need to put him to sleep for a little while. But at the moment, just for where West Coast is at right now, just go and play.
Yeah, that it is a tough one, because Zach with a tag is probably going to get high 20 possessions anyway. You don't tag him, he gets an extra 10 possessions for the game. You really just want him being under as much heat as you can. If you give him a little bit of space, he's such a beautiful user of the ball, he will cause a lot of damage. So, yeah, the key message would be, if he's getting a lot of touches, make sure he's under heat. They'll want someone close by him, so they won't want him being too much on the outside getting that footy. They'd be happy for him to get a lot of contested ball inside, but don't give him that space.
With those players coming back, and you mentioned before the senior guys and the difference that they can make to a West Coast side with younger players, how much would you be leaning on, particularly Shannon Hearn, who, when it comes to have been there, done that, has done exactly that, for his experience tonight for some of these youngsters? Do you even tell him, I know his main role is to do his job in defence, but to make sure that he continually does get in the ear of some of the younger guys about the place?
I think Shannon does that naturally anyway. He's like a quiet guy, but he does get around and talk to all the boys. He certainly doesn't raise his voice and yell. He just gets around and has that calming, really strong sort of older brother influence on the guys. So he would have been doing that all week. He would have been doing that pre-game, no doubt. And during the game, I think you'll see him regularly getting especially the defenders in together and trying to keep them focused and concentrating on doing their job. And
one of the real highlights for West Coast this year, and we've sung his praises numerous times, gets to be captain tonight as they continue to rotate the captaincy, Oscar Allen. He's a massive key for West Coast tonight if they're to have any chance. How impressed have you been by not just what he's been able to do on the field, Shane, but also we've seen his leadership and we've heard him speak to us on a number of occasions as well.
Yeah, he's very good, isn't he? For a young man, articulates things very well, sees the game very well in front of the footy, and pretty much with the heat that's coming on Jack Darling a fair bit this year, has done it with a lone hand really for a majority of the season, and pretty hard role to play when you're just your lone key forward without much assistance this year too. So, but no, it's a great opportunity for a young forward to take the reins, but you still want him to play his natural game and don't get caught up in all the leadership and the captaincy stuff and trying to do that a little bit too much. So, but yeah, great opportunity for a young leader.
One last one from you, John, before we head downstairs for the Welcome to Country. How would Adam Simpson be feeling right now after the week that he's had to be through?
Well, yeah, right now he'll be actually pretty excited. He'll be wanting to see what the boys can deliver for him tonight. So it's the toughest part is immediately post-game, those big losses, and then knowing what you have to deal with in terms of getting your message out to your supporters and your sponsors. That's all important. It's also important during the week to make sure your players aren't losing faith. So all that would have happened throughout the week. He's dealt with all that. He'd be really excited now. Nervous, absolutely, not really knowing what's going to come. But he'll be seeing the positives. He'll be seeing he'll be hoping that Oscar Allen in his first game as captain of the club has a ripper game. He'll be hoping that Shannon Hearn helps set up that ball coming out of the back half and that the boys pull it all together for as long as possible.
So both clubs coming towards the commentary wing in front of our broadcast position here in the northern side of Perth Stadium. The lights have been dimmed. Essendon waiting their in their Indigenous home jumper with the white shorts. The Eagles wearing their Indigenous blue jumper, their home jumper. For the welcome to country, let's head downstairs for the official ceremony on Doug Nicholls' round 11 in the AFL.
And today's players and officials.
Now. Kaya Wandi Nija Wajak Nunga Buja. Hello and welcome to this place, the land of Noongar on the Swan Coastal Plain and beyond Karamunda or the Black Hills to the east. Hello and welcome to the home of the Eagles of the West, family of the blue and gold. We are of this land and place. We follow a bloodline of people who have lived, walked and cared for this land we know as Wajak Noongar Buja for over 1,000 generations. Today we acknowledge and celebrate First Nations players past and present who have contributed to our great game. May the Murich Wirrn or the good spirits be with you and always.
Yan Korak Maman, Korak Yoga, Galaka Wajak Mort Jurupan, Galakdat in nature, Galaka Wajak Buja, Kura, Galaka Motat in nature, Niching Alakula, Kora, Yay, Kayako. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Wajak people, it's a great pleasure to welcome you here tonight, the home of our people past, present and forever.
May the mar or the wind spread this coral or smoke and bring the gin or good spirits to this place. Kaya wanyu wajak nunga puja. 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 Kaya wanyu wajak nunga puja.
And a warm welcome to the Essendon Football Club on behalf of the Murray Warran Wallich, on behalf of the West Coast Eagles.
Kaya wanyu wajak nunga puja. 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 Budawan, and thank you.
It was a sight to behold. The lights dimmed, thousands of mobile phone lights twinkling in the background as the welcome to country took place beneath our broadcast position. All said from Wujak Noongar Elder Professor Simon Forrest, Burungu and Wujak Balladong Elder Vivian Hanson. So it's West Coast versus Essendon. The teams head to their respective positions for one last run through. Let's find out what it's like downstairs. Akash Fodadar is on the boundary for us tonight. Akash, what's it like down there?
Good evening, Clint. Yeah, it's a nice night for footy, about 15 degrees, perfect clear skies. A little bit chilly, but I think for the players it'll be great conditions for football. Just one thing to note, the Essendon Indigenous jersey was designed by a couple of primary school students, Momo Wilcox and Jackie Sinclair, and the West Coast Indigenous Guernsey designed by one of their AFLW players, Crystal Petrevsky. So a nice touch there for both clubs. Looking across to the benches, starting there for West Coast with Jake Waterman, Jack Petrocelli, Xavier O'Neill and Luke Foley, and Greg Clark is the sub. And for Essendon, Will Snelling, Archie Perkins, Nick Hind and Nick Bryan on the bench, with Massimo D'Ambrosio the sub. And as you mentioned, those late changes today with Callum Jamieson out for Xavier O'Neill for West Coast, and for Essendon, Dylan Shiel out and Nick Bryan in.
Good on you, Akash. Plenty more from Akash Fodadar downstairs. Worth noting too, if you're at the ground and you're wondering, there are a few West Coast Eagles players that have their boots painted tonight. That was painted by some of the students boarding at the Clontarf Aboriginal College. The artwork representing a diversity of First Nations language groups across WA. So if you see some of the players with their boots painted tonight for the West Coast Eagles, that is the reason why. There is one more game currently taking place up in Darwin. The Gold Coast Suns It's their home game, hosting the Western Bulldogs. 11 minutes gone in the opening term. Great start for the Bulldogs as they look to continue their recent rich vein of form. They're up by 20 points, 3-2-20 to the Suns, who are yet to score. Final thoughts, gents. Who wins and why? Shane Woden, John Worsfold.
I think Essendon again tonight. I think across the board, a little bit too experienced and system-based at the moment. And with what's come to West Coast of late, I just think it'll be, again, a little bit too much for them. Again, hopefully we just see a little bit more of a competitive effort by West Coast, and I think we will, but Essendon too strong.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Bombers are too settled. Some good players coming back in just to bolster them. I think they'll be too strong. If you had to ask me at the start of the year, this game, I would have backed West Coast, but obviously haven't seen the side, their best team decimated. I can't see them having enough talent on the park to take the Bombers on.
Have you ever seen an injury list like West Coast have suffered in your time in football?
Unfortunately, I reckon I have, but not for as long a period. I reckon there was a couple of weeks I coached the team and I looked at the injury list and it was a pretty good lineup, but not for this period of time where they haven't been able to get these guys on the park. And even those guys coming in, they're not going to be as sharp as they're going to be if they can now string a number of games together. Their experience will hold them up, but they certainly won't be at 100% yet.
Toss of the coin, Dave Lindsay.
Essendon have won the toss, Clint. Anthony McDonald-Tipungwuti was actually the person that called correctly. So Essendon winning the toss, and they will kick towards the Farmer Freeway end. Both weeks of the Sir Doug Nicholls round, the winning team winning the toss has gone, as they should, to the Polly Farmer end.
That is, of course, to the left of our broadcast position. Both teams, they were. West Coast had just broken from theirs, but the Bombers now break from their very tight huddle. Final words of instruction. For the first time, Oscar Allen has the captaincy next to his name for the West Coast Eagles. Big game for West Coast. Their fans have demanded a better performance than we saw last week. They should be able to provide it with some key ins. Barras, Hearn, Yeo. How will they go up against an Essendon side who may have had one of those breakthrough victories that clubs do have when they were able to finally get over the line against Richmond in the Dreamtime game at the MCG? There's a big roar as the Pyrotechnics and the Flames explode into life. It's the Eagles and the Bombers on Grandstand AFL to get us started. Dave Lindsay.
Draper and Williams, the starting rucks here this evening at Perth Stadium on Wajak country. Williams leaping high to win the tap down, but it's sharked by Caldwell of Essendon. Hand passes away to Stringer starting in the centre square. Long and high kick, McDonald-Tipungwuti from behind. Got a bit of a shove in the back. Umpire's whistle went to the lips at the moment, then he called play on. Now he's picked out a free kick for a bit of legging there on Guelph, who hands it off to Stringer, about to be run down. Crosses the 50, kicks to full forward, Langford have a little nudge into the back of his opponent and then double back to take the mark at the second bite, right in the middle of the goal square, where the Torres Strait Islander flag has been painted at the Farmer Freeway end. And Langford, who's been a bit of a Mr. Fix-It, popping up in virtually every position on the ground for Essendon this season, will have a shot for goal from 10 metres out to open the scoring here at Perth Stadium. The famous number 4 on his back. And the Bombers have the first goal of the game. It took 60 seconds, but Essendon with the first goal. The Eagles yet to get a possession. You listen to Grandstand AFL, your experts this evening, John Worsfold and Shane Woden.
It's critical centre bounce in today's modern game of footy, and how much territory it gives you and how important it is for him. Obviously a free kick. It's interesting, Tom Barras starting forward tonight, which is very unusual when your best defender is playing at the other end of the ground. So probably they're trying to stretch Essendon a little bit and offer something different and throw the magnets around. I don't mind it.
They did say in the pre-season that Tom might actually go forward from time to time. We haven't seen it because they haven't had the ability to do so, but as you say, there he is standing in the attacking goal square for the West Coast Eagles. Just one goal in his AFL career. It's now 128 games. Good bounce to restart. Rucks go at it. Draper got a touch. Came down to Williams. Hand pass intercepted by Draper. Knocked out of his hands. He looks to slap it forward. Comes to Hobbs. Strong tackle. He was wrapped up by Duggan. Taken to ground. Umpire will ball it up. Just forward of the centre circles for the Bombers.
Yeah, interesting. Stringer's already had his hands on the footy a few times playing midfield.
Tapped down by Williams. He looked to slap it forward. Hacked out of there by the Bombers. Sliding down Yo. Centre half back, intercepted by Hobbs. Tried to get a hand pass out the side. Looking to emerge with it was Caldwell. They move it inside forward 50 Essendon. McDonald Tippin Woody goes over the top of it. Pressure came from Jinby. Long knocks it into a dangerous position back into the corridor. There was Gaff. Gave it to a fellow Eagle in Yo. Kicked high up into the air. McGrath attacks the football. Couldn't mark. Spills down to Jinby. He'll kick to the outer side. Mark taken, though, by Redmond for the Bombers.
Steers kick inboard to Hobbs. They were well set up behind the ball, the Bombers. Hobbs will send them inside 50 again. A high kick. Langford goes underneath the flight of the ball. 2 Eagles fly. Yo drops the mark. It pops out the back, close to the boundary. Bad bounce for Hoff. Clever little tap down. Comes to Menzie. And from a tight angle, he's missed the lot. Out of bounds on the full. The tap came from last week's hero in Sam Durham. But no addition to the score. Essendon with the opening goal. 3 minutes into the first term here at Perth Stadium.
Eagles under early pressure. Witherden goes across the face of goal to the right back pocket. This is Duggan. Stabs it short to Gaff. Marks it right half back. Forced to go back inside his defensive 50. This is Hearn. Back in the team this week. Short pass again. Now to Yo. 2 of the Eagles veterans. Yo steps off his lines, told to play on. Kick was an ugly one beyond defensive 50. It's found a Bomber. Diving forward, Guelphy takes the mark. He's about 65 from goal at right half forward. Puts it into the right forward pocket. Yo got a fingertip on it in front of Stringer. Came out the back. Hoff hand pass to Yo again. Then under real pressure, Bazzo has to duck the head. Goes back again to Hoff, working it forward. Yo now it's with Sheed. Kicks beyond defensive 50 towards left half back. Battle on out there, and it's taken over the boundary line. It'll be a throw-in. The Eagles survive that one. Connor West, last man to have the ball in his hand. The Bombers lead after 4 minutes. They're 1 straight 6. The Eagles yet to score.
The Eagles conceded the last 12 goals of the game against Hawthorn last week. Conceded the first here this evening. Williams in front of Draper. At the front, Kelly now with the footy. Hand passes back inside defensive 50 to Duggan and off to Jinby. Next kick goes about 5 metres to West. Hot hand pass to Duggan, who goes underground with his hand pass. There's no clear target there. The Essendon player allowed it to roll out of play, and the umpire calls for a throw-in.
Just touched on it earlier. Elliot Yo, couple of early, fumble early, drop mark, and then a kick that came out and just totally missed the target. That's that rustiness that he'll get rid of over the next couple of weeks.
Toss back into play for Williams to take clean possession. Hand pass to Hoff. He's grabbed quickly by Menzie. We get a ball up between wing and half forward. Southern side of the ground. 6 plays 0. The Bombers in front after 5 minutes.
Thrown aloft. Draper palmed it down. Came to Jinby though. Shed it with Hoff. Back to Jinby. Goes back by hand along the ground to Duggan. Hobbs tackled him. The ball spilled out. Bombers have it. Sweeping hand pass meant for Menzie. Kimby got in the way. Menzie's able to pick it up. Hand passes forward to Langford. He's got it in the right forward pocket. Back to Hobbs. Hand pass missed its target. Awkward bounce for the Bombers. Sheed was there. Hand pass to the Hoff. Tapped to his own advantage. Hand pass to Kelly. Went straight into trouble. McGrath was waiting for him. He hand passed it forward but only found the boundary line. It's over at right half forward for Essendon. Is where it'll be put back into play. Inside 50s at the moment. Essendon 5. West Coast yet to have 1.
They're just struggling to get out of their back half at the moment. Just got to be able to find a mark.
The Eagles ranked 18th in the comp for inside 50s. Essendon ranked 11th, but they're enjoying field position early here. From the boundary throw-in, they've had to retreat back to the wing for Redmond. Hand pass to Merritt, and then Redmond comes by to collect the next hand pass. Long kick to the pocket. Wiedemann one out. Does a brilliant job. Great judgment in flight against the youngster in Bazzo. And he's taken the mark deep in the right forward pocket, the ex-Demon, to line up for the Bombers' second.
I'll cook their defenders if they can't. It's like getting their hands on it, win the ball right now. And that's just a strength one-on-one in the contest against the young Bazzo.
Steps out to the left, hooks it back, hits the right-hand goalpost. Essendon are doing all the attacking in the first 6.5 minutes. Venture to suggest the ball hasn't gone beyond halfway for the Eagles, certainly not from one of their own possessions. It's Essendon 1-1 to no score.
Hearn decides to go straight up the corridor. Edwards couldn't take the mark. Heppel provided the pressure. Spilled down to Hine. Tackled, lost it. The Eagles can clear. It comes through Jinby, then to Gaff. Kicks them towards right half forward. Zirk Thatcher stretches against Allen. Ball goes inside. West goes forward 50 for the first time. Zirk Thatcher's back there. Gives it to Ridley. Got away from his opponent. Shares it with Zirk Thatcher. Provides the little shepherd. The kick towards left half back. Good pressure coming from the Eagles. Able to see the ball away from Hind and knock it out for a neutral ball at right half forward. Effort then, and well done indeed for battling on from Luke Foley. So the ball to be spun back into play, about 60 out from the Eagles' attacking goal, heading to the city end of Perth Stadium in this opening term.
Nick Bryan, the late inclusion, into the game and into the ruck, but beaten by Williams at the boundary throw. And now Petruccelli, a hand pass into space. Hind will be too quick for Williams, but Williams did enough to hassle Hind and force him to paddle to the boundary. Another boundary throw in. So Bryan in for Shield, who never made the flight across to Perth, and O'Neill in for Jamison. They're the late changes for the two sides. Clark, the sub for West Coast. D'Ambrosio, the substitute for Essendon tonight. Williams wins in the ruck. Tried to connect with Jinby. Socket forward by Kelly. It'll go straight over the boundary. Players started appealing for deliberate the moment the ball struck the boot, and they'll get it. Eagles fans don't like it, but I think we see that one played just about every week now in that sort of situation. So Nick Hind, the speedster, no chance to use his speed from here. Stop play, kick to the wing, and Draper a good leap. Pack mark from the flamboyant ruckman. I wonder what he's got in store for us here this evening. That was a flowing mullet.
It's very good, isn't it? He's opposed to Shannon Hearn in that contest too. So
high kick to half forward. Bryan up in front. Williams from behind. Bryan had more of it. Takes the mark. Hand pass away to Merritt. Squeezed up on his left side. Deep to full forward. Langford gets back. It clears the pack. Redmond's pushed forward. And Redmond kicks the goal. Celebrates with the Bombers fans down at the Farmer Freeway end. And he's going to run all the way down into defence and celebrate with every player on the way through. Essendon with the first two. They're 2-1-13. West Coast yet to score. 9 minutes into the first quarter here at Perth Stadium.
You touched on it earlier, Wowie, trying to find a mark for West Coast, whereas for the Bombers, Draper, a strong contested mark, gets them going forward. Wiedemann, contested mark for shot at goal, and Langford, a contested mark in the goal square to get him on the board. We're not really seeing any aerial strength from the West Coast at the moment.
no, not at all. One down the line. Quick overlap by Merritt. Gets it into a deep entry. Redmond's come a long way down.
Noah Long, who we're used to seeing forward. Last desperate effort. Classy finish though from the Bombers. 2-1-13 to the Eagles, yet to score. Not a great bounce, it'll come back.
Elliot Yeo and Jimmy swapping half-back inside mid. Tough role. Do a lot of work as a inside mid, then to go play on a small forward.
Restart. Bryan with the more telling tap, and he's able to soccer it forward. Snelling looked to knock it on. Racing through Stringer. Gathers from centre half forward. Kicks towards full forward. Coming out Hearn. Meets it first. Broke one tackle. Broke a second. Dashing play from Hearn. Got it on to Kelly at centre half back. Kicks towards Allen on the commentary wing. Great mark. Up in the air against Cirque Thatcher. Plays on quickly. Puts it in the direction of Waterman in the right forward pocket. Spills down Petruccelli. Tackled by Hind. Over the line. 45 out from the Eagles' goal for a boundary throw-in.
Yeah, good grab by the acting captain there. That's just what we're talking about. Those strong contested marks give you the chance to get the ball inside 50, and hopefully now they can lock it in and maybe get a shot at goal.
Just wind the clock back, Shannon Hearn. I think it was that. Just tack the footy.
His teammates and fans would love to see him back out there tonight. Allen wins in the ruck. Shark though by Merritt. Kicks with the non-preferred right towards the wing. Nicely done by Bazzo. Did enough to spoil Wiedemann, then fed it back towards Yeo. Hurried kick forward, lands in the lap of Kelly. He's at right half forward. Kicks to the leading Waterman. It clears him, and he got a shove. The crowd were onto that one early. And Waterman with the glove on the right hand this evening will go back and have a set shot. The angle about 45 degrees, the distance just less than 40.
Important shot at goal here. Waterman will be feeling the pressure. You know, they want to get one on the board. They're coming off, a big loss last week. That's got to settle the nerves, just get back, go through his routine and nail it. It's a really important shot, one that he should be confident of getting.
He's kicked 2 bags of 4 goals this season, Jake Waterman, but only 2 other majors for the season. This one, well within his capabilities. We're right behind the kick, and he's tugged it to the left. Only just sneaks in for a behind. So after 12 minutes, the Eagles have their first score. It's a minor. They trail by 2 goals. We're at Perth Stadium on a Saturday night. Around about 35 to 40,000 in the building.
Thought we were going to get the big dramatic glove removal like Quentin Lynch used to do and throw it into the crowd. Kept it on as he had the shot as the Bombers moved the ball towards the southern wing. Big pack. Bazzo at the back punched it down. Hobbs couldn't gather. Caldwell could for the Bombers. Tried to go back by hand, hitting a pack and then taken high. He's claiming he got one around the chin, Hine. No, it was okay according to the officials. Going to be thrown aloft, just shy of the southern wing for the Bombers. On front position, worked it out towards Snelling. Essendon can work it forward, but only as far as Hunt. Running with the flight of the football, takes the mark, shares it with O'Neill, back to Hunt. Sweeps the hand pass forward, this is Hoff at left half forward. Puts it into the left forward pocket, leading out Waterman, can't mark, Ridley right with him. Ball off hands and over for another throw-in. 45 out from West Coast attacking goal. 2-1-13 the Bombers, one behind the Eagles. Up in Darwin, it's the Bulldogs by 9 points. 4-3 plays 3 straight. 27 gone in the first.
Barris will do the ruck work in the forward line. The boundary throw-in fell a bit short. Neither ruck touched it. Essendon will clear. Nick Martin out of defence. Penetrating kick into the middle of the ground. Spoil comes from Foley. He's resting the hand on Menzies. Played a state game last year for the South Australian Footy League against the Waffle on this venue, and then was drafted in the mid-season draft just a week or two later. Kicks long towards full forward. Will go over the back. McDonald, Tim and Woody nearly rode that. Falls for Perkins. Hurried snap. It's a wrestle in the goal square. Did Duggan touch it? I'm not sure. He didn't. Full points. Perkins with the goal in his 50th game of AFL football. And Essendon have the first 3. 3-1-19 plays one behind. 13.5 minutes gone in the first quarter. Saturday night footy here at Perth Stadium on Grandstand AFL. We've got John Worsfold and Shane Woden, your experts.
Transition from a 450 stoppage then, Essendon, so it's got through the front. And just inability, they've lost a couple of contests there. One with Foley with a free kick and then forward of the footy. Just another one at ground ball. They're minus 10 in the contest at the moment at West Coast, so it's not great early signs.
No, they're certainly working so hard just to try and bring the ball to ground. They don't really have that ground level coverage when the ball goes inside their D50 for the West Coast. So Essendon have been good enough to latch onto some of that footy and get shots away as well.
Merritt, the leading possession winner on the ground. He's had 6 touches so far.
Barras back down in defence.
Throwing up. Bryant won it down two-handed, but it's Williams who gets the kick away for the Eagles towards right half forward. Heppel might have taken his opponent to ground in. Hoff, he did. Hoff will get the free kick for West Coast. It wasn't returned to him immediately. Crowd bays for a 50. It won't be there. Hoff stabs it out short and finds O'Neill. Still 2 kicks from goal. He'll pop it short again. Back to Hoff, marking right with the 50s on the deck. So from right half forward, he goes to centre half forward to Duggan, marking at the top of the 50-metre arc.
Don't mind this.
They're working it around. Duggan spots Foley. Foley puts it towards full forward. The lead is on from Allen. And he marks for West Coast in front of the left-hand goalpost. He'll go back and have a shot from no more than 30 out.
A smart play by West Coast. Just basketball it around, draw the defence out, and just wait for the option. And something will come up.
Yeah, it was a great kick and a great lead by Allen. It was pretty congested up there. There weren't too many players outside 50 by the time the ball went in there, and Allen was able to just find that little gap to lead into, and the kick was put into a perfect spot.
He's been a bright spot in an otherwise tough season for West Coast so far. Oscar Allen in, and the captain for tonight kicks the Eagles first. He's 26th of the season, and a key one for West Coast after the Bombers kicked the opening 3 of the game. Essendon a 3-1-19. West Coast moved to be 1-1-7. 16 gone in the opening term on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio, Sport Digital and streaming on the ABC Listen app. Our experts Shane Woden and John Worsfold.
Because you can get drawn into it as a young player just to bomb it back in and hope for the best and create a contest in there. But I just thought they were smart just to keep working around the 50, go in a different angle. Yeah, then Foley pulled the trigger. He comes at the footy well, doesn't he, Oscar Allen? Good mitts.
His first opportunity as the acting skipper. A lot of people were impressed with Liam Duggan a couple of weeks ago and felt that perhaps he's the man to take over as the next captain, but there'll be a lot around the Eagles that will be expecting that Oscar Allen will put his name forward. And his second ball up here to separate things in the middle. Plenty of numbers coming inside the centre square for this one. Draper gets rid of his opponent. Umpire calls play on. Gets under his kick. It floats towards centre half forward where Wiedemann has first bite. Second bite was claimed by Foley, not paid by the umpire. The Eagles get to clear. A quick kick and Waterman used the body well. Gets rid of Ridley. Pokes the kick inside 50. It favours Zirk Thatcher. His hand pass blocked though by Allen. Luckily there's plenty of Bombers around to support. Ridley with the clearing kick. McDonald, Tipperwoody's got a couple to beat. Foley goes early. Can't bring the mark down. Through comes Hunt. A hand pass towards Ginby. Dispossessed in a strong Caldwell tackle. Support arrives from Duggan. Duggan to Hoff. A hand pass to Hunt. Down the southern wing they go. Long kick again, favouring the Essendon defence. McGrath marks. He thought about going. Umpire spares him here and says you can go back and take your kick. So the old number 1 draft pick can slow it down for the Bombers.
Andrew McGrath decides to go down the southern wing. Backing back. Hoff showed courage. Wiedemann hit it hard. Spilled out to Duggan for the Eagles. They can move it through Witherden, then to Sheed. Hand pass wasn't great. Gaffs out after it under extreme pressure. It's going to be held to him. Umpire will pay holding the ball. Langford got him.
He didn't actually dive on the ball. He got bumped.
Tough call. A real prior. When you dive on it, you're in strife. Kicks inside forward 50 for the Bombers. Great effort from Barris. Getting the spoil down. Comes to the Eagles through Hunt. Hand pass to West. Stepped away from one Bomber. Wheeled around and then kicks into the middle of the ground, having to wait for the Sheed, who marks and plays on. Ginby running by. There's an Eagle free in the left forward pocket. Marked by Robin. He'll go back and he should just pop it over the top. He will. And Petruccelli marks. He can hand pass into the goal square. Allen's got his second. An enormous roar at Perth Stadium as the Eagles kick back-to-back goals. They found the spare player every time and they used them. And they're able to cut the margin that at one stage was reasonably imposing back to just a single goal. 3-1-19 Essendon West Coast, 2-1-13, 19 gone in the first on Grandstand AFL.
It was interesting that Ridley, I think it was Ridley, had to come up and pressure one of the West Coast players, but that meant he knew he was leaving an open West Coast player behind him. Sort of sends the message of what Brad Scott's asking the Bombers to do. Be on the front foot, come up to defend, don't just keep rolling back. He knew if he couldn't hold him up, they were probably going to get it to an open player, which they did. Got the overlap and an easy goal.
Well done, Connor West. Drived his legs at half back. Didn't just dump the ball forward. Found an open player. Started the chain.
Crowd up and about. They've enjoyed the last 10 minutes or so from their side. Draper knocks it forwards, goes and collects himself. Hand pass to Stringer. Off to McDonald. Tipperwoody thought about having a shot with the left and then dropped the footy. Hand pass back inside to Draper. Millie runs the full circle at about 30 metres out. Loses the footy now with the hand pass. Williams is there, being well hassled by Draper. Was that a throw? Free kick to Essendon.
Serious.
Holding the ball was the signal from the umpire, so incorrect disposal will be his adjudication. And Draper, it's always a bit of a wild ride when he has the ball in his hand or is near the footy. Never quite know what he's about to do. But a lot of energy and a good tackle forced the one-handed punch in the end from Williams.
Fair call.
So Sam Draper, number 1 pick in the rookie draft back in 2017.
He's got through the front twice now at centre bounce, Essendon. Just need to tidy that up with West Coast mids.
That flowing mullet out the back as he kicks the goal and waves to the crowd as well. Essendon respond to the Eagles' consecutive goals and the margin's back to 12 points. 21 minutes gone in the first quarter. The Bombers 4-1-25. West Coast 2-1-13.
Stringer started well tonight, hasn't he, John? Just his impact at centre bounce and then going forward, he's got him through the front a couple of times.
Yeah, that's his strength, is that he will back himself to go forward with the footy. Very rarely he takes that safe, defensive, like backward handball option. He will look forward, power forward and try and get the ball going quick. He would know when he's actually sitting up in the forward line how much he loves it coming in quick out of the middle, and that's definitely his focus when he goes into the centre.
Grandstand AFL, ABC Perth and WA, ABC Sport Digital, streaming on the ABC Listen app. 4-1 plays 2-1. Bombers in front of the Eagles. It's the Bombers who'll get the clearance in the middle again. He's Merritt handing it off quickly and nicely. Comes to Hobbs, getting it originally from Martin. Sweeps the hand pass forward to Guelphy. Is it right half forward? Working it on again. Inside forward 50. The kick comes from the Bombers. Sheed is able to knock it to ground. Barris is back there. Gave it away to Hearn. Thumping kick beyond defensive 50 to the outer wing. It's off hands into the middle of the ground, trying to get there. O'Neill. West is able to gather. Gave it to Petruccelli. Eagles look to surge forward. Petruccelli's kick was disappointing. Down the throat of Merritts. The captain for Essendon marks in the centre square, and he'll flare it out to the southern wing for the Bombers.
8 disposals now for Merritt already. Finds Snelling with this kick. Thought about coming back inside to Merritt. Instead, pops it to the sponsor's logo. And Laverde back in the side this evening after that shoulder problem suffered on Anzac Day against Collingwood. A chip pass and running forward to receive is Snelling once more. We saw a lot of this from Essendon last week, and they defeated Richmond. Dreamtime at the G. Of course, played in a Dreamtime game during the COVID period here in Perth. This kick, though, read best by Jinby. He's doing some good things again in the early stages this evening. The young Tyro from the West Coast Eagles marking inside defensive 50. High kick back to the wing position. Off hands it falls for West. Controls the footy well. Gets a hand pass towards Hoff. They're going backwards to O'Neill. All the way back to centre half back where they can set it up here. Foley swings it towards the broadcast side. Edwards now kicks and finds Waterman. Marking on the wing. He'll go long towards the forward pocket. Williams stretching, won't be able to get there. Controls the footy just inside the boundary. Hand pass back to Hunt. And then treads the line very carefully with his kick, searching for Bazzo on the lead, who's been swung forward. They're certainly swinging the magnets around the first quarter. Off hands, it's out of bounds. Throw in 25 out. City end goals. That's the way the Eagles are going. They trail by 2 goals.
Quarter time in Darwin. Bulldogs' early lead has been cut back. They're now just 2 points in front of the Suns. The throw in. Waterman went early. Draper stayed down. Ricocheted off him. Hind picked it up for the Bombers. Gave it to McGrath. Now for Laverde, who's kicked it out of bounds on the full. Was it touched on the way through? Must have been touched. Apologies to him. Does raise his hand up as if to apologise to his teammates nonetheless. It'll be a throw-in 20 metres out from West Coast goal in the right forward pocket. It's actually come off the bonce of one of the Eagles players. Spun back in. Draper takes clean possession after one tap down. Kicks beyond defensive 50. Wants Stringer at left half back. Couldn't find him. Eagles attack the football. Hoff gives it to Yo. Kicks to a sliding Waterman. Can't mark. Bounced in front of him. Now Hobbs has taken his opponent high, driving him into the ground. It's West, who would be a little worse for wear after the tackle. He gets up, just adjusts himself and can go back and have a shot from slightly beyond 50. It's to the right of centre.
You know what you're going to get with Connor West. I thought he's been pretty good early. He's only had the 4, but around the contest, been clean.
Awkward from Hobbs, the tackle on West. It looks okay though, Connor West. Goes out to the right, gets right underneath the kick. Won't have the carry, goes towards left, full forward. Marking Williams! That was a big pack around it. Williams emerges with it, high fives a couple of teammates, and he'll kick on goal from deep in the left forward pocket.
Yeah, it's amazing the times that ball didn't go really where anyone expected it to go, but it does mean that those tall forwards can get a free run at it, and if they're strong enough in the air, they can take those grabs. So tough shot to finish, but he should be able to do it.
Williams on his way in. Oh, misses.
They're going around the corner on that one.
Searching for just his second goal of the year, but it's a minor score. 2-2-14 the Eagles. The Bombers 4-1-25. 26 gone in the first on Grandstand AFL.
Quickly back into play to Nick Hind, playing his 50th game for Essendon this evening. Starting, of course, at St Kilda where he played 21 games. He gets it back and then kicks it out towards the wing to Nick Martin. Subiaco product. He's made a good fist of things since being picked up by the Bombers. Sells the dummy to get around the man on the mark. Floats a hand pass forward. They're making a mess of things here. Laverde has to mop up a hand pass to Menzie. Puts Merritt under a heap of trouble. Well tackled. Ball spills out in the tackle. Play on's the call. In comes Edwards with another tackle, but it's a high one. Crowd won't like that. They wanted a free kick against Merritt.
Incorrect disposal, wasn't it?
Could well have been. In the end, the free kick for a push in the back, going the way of Laverde. Sponsors logo, southern wing. Kicks further wide towards the boundary for Hind. Just about every player on the ground in front of him. Squeezed into the Essendon attacking half. Kicks down the boundary line to Nick Martin once more. He kicks to the corridor. Wiedemann's given the lead. He leaps. It clears his head. At the back is Long. And the Eagles are able to sweep it away. Hand pass to Yeo and off to Hearn. We know he'll thump it long. He does just that. It's a high ball asking a lot of Oscar Allen. He gets into the back of McGrath. It goes over the back. And Redmond can slow things down with a chip almost back towards half back, finding Ridley.
He is content to slow things down. Takes a step backwards. Could have gone short to Redmond. Now does so. Still hard up against the boundary. With his blue boots, he stabs it short to McGrath, who marks in front of his chest. Still working it around left half back, the Bombers. McGrath will kick towards the attacking edge of the centre square. Barris attacks the football and he's been paid the mark. Getting over the top of Durham. Back in the team this week and having an impact. Barris switches play out towards Edwards. Moving it short. Again with the foot pass, it's to Waterman, kicks towards left half forward. All players crashing into each other. Ridley got his own teammate for a moment. The ball's there for the Bombers through Hobbs. And slapped away by O'Neill. Emerging with it though, Caldwell. Bombers can share it around across half back and they'll come to the middle of the ground here. Bryan sees it bounce in front of him. Goes back by hand. This is Durham again. Not a great hand pass. Bryan couldn't get there. Yeo, strong, put his body in the way. Perkins emerges with it. Yeo tackles him. Allows Hunt to burst away. Has it for West Coast. Kicks towards goal. Needed a lucky bounce. Didn't get it. Ricocheted away. Out to the left-hand side for a minor score. 2-3-15 the Eagles. 4-1-25 the Bombers. 29 gone in the first.
The red and black waste no time to bring it in. All hand passes towards defensive 50. McGrath now has a bounce. He crosses that line. Another hand pass to Caldwell, about to be caught. Turns inside with his hands to Hobbs. He will be caught. Brilliant chase from West. West gets the free kick and then plays on quickly. Hand pass to Duggan. Tries to spot up Rotham. Doesn't hit him. It goes through the legs of Hind though. Eagles come in number to make a contest. Inside their attacking 50. Merritt's dived on this one. The ball comes out. Martin's onto it quickly though for Essendon. Clearing kick goes wide. Menzie close to the footy as it trickles over. Won't be paid deliberate despite the protests from the home crowd. 10 points the lead to Essendon, but there's been plenty of energy and plenty of effort from the home team so far tonight.
They've certainly shut down the Bombers' ball movement through the middle of the ground. They haven't been able to get it inside 50 for quite a while. West Coast are now rebounding on them.
Spun back in. Bryan got the right hand to it. Kelly read it best. And that is quarter time. The Eagles fans applaud. They craved a better performance. They've certainly had it so far from this West Coast Eagles team that saw Essendon kick the first three and they've fought back to be down by 10 points at quarter time. 4-1-25 to 2-3-15. For the Bombers, goals to Draper, Langford, Perkins and Redmond. While for West Coast, both their goals coming from their stand-in skipper this evening in Oscar Allen. Quarter time, Essendon 4-1-25, West Coast 2-3-15. Wherever you're listening on ABC Radio, Sport Digital and streaming on the ABC Listen app, this is Grandstand AFL.
Hello, I'm Patrick Stack, and if you like great stories and you enjoy sport, then I reckon you need ABC Sport Daily in your life.
By gee, there's a lot of talent on that list. They should be performing better than they are, and yet may well not play finals again this season.
The media pack felt like until last night they had Kalen Ponga penciled into this team.
You know, he's going to go out there for the opening 20 minutes, break some heads open, throw his weight around.
It's a daily sports conversation and it's called ABC Sport Daily. Find us on the ABC Listen app.
This is the Sir Doug Nicholls round.
On your radio, Sport Digital and the ABC Listen app.
Stringer about to be run down. Crosses the 50, kicks to full forward, and Langford have a little nudge into the back of his opponent and then double back to take the mark at the second bite, right in the middle of the goal square. The famous number 4 on his back. And the Bombers have the first goal of the game. It took 60 seconds, but Essendon with the first goal. The Eagles yet to get a possession. High kick to half forward. Bryan up in front, Williams from behind. Bryan had more of it. Takes the mark, hand pass away to Merritt. Squeezed up on his left side, deep to full forward. Langford gets back, it clears the pack. Redmond's pushed forward, and Redmond kicks the goal. Essendon with the first two.
Hunt, hand pass to West. Stepped away from one Bomber, wheeled around, and then kicks into the middle of the ground, having to wait for the Sheed, who marks and plays on. Jinby running by. There's an eagle free in the left forward pocket, marked by Robin. He'll go back and he should just pop it over the top. He will. And Petruccelli marks. Peak and hand pass into the goal square. Allen's got his second.
The 2023 Sir Doug Nicholls Round.
On ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital, and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
In games earlier today, the Giants gave Toby Green something to celebrate in his 200th, the 7-point win over Geelong, and that was down at the Cattery. Woolloomoolap beat Naarm by 7 points. The Dockers, they continue to build to something this season, 12-7-79 to 10-12-72, and the Hawks sprung a bit of a surprise over the Saints, getting home by 10 points. There's a game currently underway in the top end. The Suns have hit the front against the Western Bulldogs. 7 minutes gone in the second term. It's the Suns 5-2-32 to the Bulldogs 4-3-27. While here at Perth Stadium, the Bombers, they lead the Eagles by 10 points. What have you made of things? Brownlow medalist Shane Woewodin and a man who has coached both of these clubs, John Woolsfold. Gents?
Well, it looked pretty ominous early, John, with Essendon's favour, the ability to win the footy and get on the outside. And I just think West Coast started to settle in the back half of that quarter and just got themselves back in the contest again. Started even up contested footy. Just getting belted around stoppage at the moment, which I think Essendon have scored 3 goals out of their 4 from stoppages. So just got to tidy up a bit of that area, and particularly around centre bounce. But I just thought their effort and their intent is there tonight, West Coast. Again, just how they sustain this effort for longer periods will be the challenge for them again. Yeah, no, exactly. Well, I mean, the inside 50s are pretty even. 5 scoring shots each, but they're 10 points down at quarter time. So I'd be a bit disappointed to go in with a 10-point deficit. After the effort they put in through that quarter, Oscar Allen stood up to kick the 2 goals for them. 3 or 4 other players just missed shots that were gettable. We saw Waterman, I think Williams, missing shots that they should be able to get. That puts a heap more pressure back on the opposition, makes Essendon start to ask questions, but it also gives the West Coast boys that extra boost of confidence. So, credit to Oscar Allen. You know, his opportunities as captain, he's taken a couple of strong marks and finished his work. He needs to keep those other boys confident and strong in backing themselves to finish their shots at goal as well. He talked about it early, Clint, with the Merritt situation. Like, he's had 10, but he's had 6 handballs. He's only had 90 metres gained, so he hasn't had a huge influence right yet, but that's the thing he does well, doesn't he? He just does accumulate a lot of the footy, and again, if he's damaging centre forward and kicking inside 50, that's probably when you need to maybe put the clamps on him. But right now, I think you'd be happy with the West Coast mids. And they clamped down on Stringer a bit as well. I'm not sure whether he spent more time in the second half of that quarter forward than he did on ball. He was very damaging around the ball early, getting Essendon forward, but went pretty quiet in the second half of that quarter. So, you know, well done to West Coast to turn the tide and start to even up those inside 50s and scoring ops.
Slight advantage to Essendon in most columns on the stat sheet, 103 disposals to 94. They lead uncontested possessions by 5 and contested by 4. The biggest differential is in the clearances, 12-3 to Essendon. Merritt's had 3 clearances, so too Draper. Leading possession winners on the ground, Merritt with 10 possessions, Redmond 9, Martin 8, and another one down there on 7 in Sam Draper with a goal and 3 hit-outs as well. While for West Coast, Duggan and Hoff with 9 possessions each, Jinby 8, Hunt and Yeo 7.
Players heading to their respective positions. Last time these sides met, round 15. Last year, the Eagles prevailed by 10 points in that encounter. Hearn had 21 disposals that day. A couple of players no longer with the Eagles. Redden with 22 touches. Kennedy with 5 goals. Shuey and Cripps also dominant, both still unavailable on that long injured list. Can the Eagles maintain the pressure? What do the Bombers do now? It's Essendon leading by 10 points. Draper faces Williams across the centre circles. Second term underway on Grandstand AFL. Pretty poor bounce, umpire lets it go. Williams won it down to Kelly, shrugged the tackle. Got away from Caldwell, got it out to Sheed. Hand pass back into traffic, Stringer. emerges with it for the Bombers. Hand pass to the southern wing. Snelling looks to slap it forward. Here's Merritt, can't take it cleanly first time. Tapped it a second time, went on hands and knees looking to work it forward. Eagles bustle their way in. Hoff's able to knock it away. Comes out to Foley, tackled immediately. Ball up will be the call. Left half forward for the Bombers. Heading to the city end in this second turn. Throw it up again. Williams stretches against Draper. Won it down. Kelly got the hand pass out. It came to Hoff. Shared it with Duggan. Back to Kelly. Kicks up and down pretty much in the same spot. They come from everywhere. Bombers able to mark. Going up and leaping and then standing back on centre wing. Chance to go forward through Caldwell. He'll kick it inside the forward 50. Punching it forward, Bryan. It'll bounce and just go past the left hand behind post. It'll tumble across for a boundary throw-in. 4-1-25 Essendon. 2-3-15 the Eagles. About 66 seconds gone in the second turn.
Nick Bryan, the late inclusion for Dylan Shield, will contest this boundary throw-in with Williams. There's a lot of space around the fall of the ball. He knocks it back towards the boundary. And Hearn's happy to watch it trickle over. They'll do it all over once more. Crowd of perhaps around 40,000 inside Perth Stadium at the moment. A lot more empty seats than we're used to for an Eagles home game. The club's chance to host the Sir Doug Nicholls round match in 2023. From the throw-in, comes back to Stringer. Takes on the tackler. Hand passes away. Snap comes from Snelling. It's on target. Has it got the distance? I think it has. Barris was getting back. Couldn't quite reach it inside the line. And Snelling is the first to add a goal to the scoreboard in the second quarter. It's Essendon 5-1-31. They lead West Coast 2-3-15. We've played 2 minutes in quarter number 2. Our experts here on Grandstand AFL this evening, John Morsfold and Shane Woden.
Another stoppage goal, Wowie, which is a bit of a worry. But Stringer's strong work inside there to get it out to Snelling, and he was good enough to get it on his left boot and float it through. But yeah, they've got to do some work at those stoppages for Essendon, scoring easily from them.
Yeah, first possession, it's one of the coaches' hates, I reckon, is defensive 50 stoppage or scores against. When you're effectively +2 around the ball, really. But how good was Stringer then? Be able to shape the footy out cleanly to Snelling. Great snap on goal.
Ball back in the middle. That bounce needs to be called back and is. A couple of skew-if bounces to start this turn. Throwing aloft again. Draper against Williams. Throwing up. Might have had a telling tap, but it bounced the way of Kelly. Might have been held without it. Umpire says play on. Stringer on the deck. Hand passes for Petruccelli. Got tackled by Merritt. Ball jarred out. Merritt for the Bombers. Hand passing for Stringer to run onto. Stringer stabs the pass inside forward 50. Unable to mark it then was Wiedemann. Spilled to ground. Getting it out is Yo. Hand pass to the Witherden, who had it first time. Witherden calm. He's able to spot Foley in the right back pocket. He'll kick beyond defensive 50. This is better from the Eagles to Long. Now run from Kelly. Hand passes forward. Chance for Edwards. Forward of centre wing. Kicks towards right half forward. Going up was Oscar Allen. Knocked away from him over the boundary for a throw-in. About 60 from goal.
Did a forward to come at him then and hit through the launch zone area 50. They're all back leading onto the boundary line.
Spoil from the Zerk Thatcher of the Bombers. 5-1-31. They lead the Eagles 2-3-15. 4 gone in the second turn.
Williams beats Draper in the ruck, but Merritt first onto his hand pass went behind his target, which allows the cavalry to arrive and lock it up for a ball up for West Coast just inside attacking 50. Williams and Draper go at it again. Williams with his fingertips to it. Petruccelli had his head taken off. Rewarded for attacking the football and really trying to burst through the tackle. The tackle from Draper slipped high.
Just at that stoppage, it was interesting. Stringer was sitting forward of the ball on his own. Shannon Hearn spotted it, quickly rearranged the West Coast players to get back and cover him. But it's that confusion that Stringer starting on ball. At some point, he'll slide forward and catch him out.
So Petruccelli from just outside 50. You'd back him every day of the week on the run from here. And I tell you what, he hasn't let you down here for the set shot. It's a beautiful kick. First goal for the Eagles in the second quarter. They bring the margin back to 10 as it was at quarter time. 5-1-31 Essendon. West Coast 3-3-21. We're 5 minutes into the second quarter.
Comfortable 7-iron there. He flushed that. You really want to see Jack Petruccelli have a game out where he just finds a fair bit of footy. Just don't think he's ever felt like I don't know him, that person, if he's belonged.
Yeah, it's a big part of it, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just feeling like if I do my job, I'm going to be in the team next week. I know my job is I can do it well enough to hold my spot in the side. He's 60-game player. He's in that prime 24-year age bracket to really launch his career from here. So sometimes it's tough when the team's not going that well, but that's a good finish for him.
Bounce to restart again. Draper leaning back, slapped it forward, but down the throat of Yo. Oh, clever hand pass over the top for Sheed. Kicks inside forward, 50, waiting for it. Foley couldn't take it first time. Gets a hand pass out. Now a chance for Bazzo. Centering kick, he wanted Allen. Zerk-Thatcher wanted to ground. McGrath broke one tackle, then a second. Kicks beyond defensive 50 towards right half back. Good effort coming here from Jimby. Was too strong for Menzies. Hands it back for the Eagles to Hunt. Sweeps the hand pass forward again. Now a chance for O'Neill. Goes back again to Hunt. Just forward of centre wing. Puts West Coast into the left forward pocket. They come from everywhere. Spills down off hands. Martin, he can stab it to Perkins, who'll mark it centre half back.
Already has a goal to his name, Archie Perkins. His 50th game. This one, he has it centre half back. Short pass to Martin. Lining up on a wing so far this evening. A long kick. Langford the target. Flying in from the side. Spoil made by Foley. And he's angled the punch beautifully to the boundary for a throw in between wing and half forward for Essendon. They're attacking the City end. Quarter number 2. They lead it by 10. Got the white shorts on tonight to go with their Indigenous jumper. Charcoal colour Guernsey with the red crow in the middle. Wah the Crow on the Essendon Indigenous jumper. The Eagles jumper designed by Crystal Petrevsky from their AFLW team, cousin of Samo. The Eagles have won it away from the boundary throw-in, but they've lost a bit of ground. They've gone backwards to Foley. Now Foley surveys all the options. Not much movement ahead of the ball, so he's forced to kick to a contest. Draper and Williams are both there, and Williams, with the second bite, reels it in. Crowd want 50. Not sure what they're really calling for there. Williams might go back and take his time over this one. He's on the logo. And again, not too many leads coming, so forced to kick towards a pack, and Zerk-Thatcher in from the side takes the mark. Made his debut on this ground against Fremantle. Plays first 2 games against the Dockers. Gets a crack at the Eagles tonight.
Better Rotham or Allen up at the top of that ball there. Better compete for that one.
The long sleeves on as he's wont to do. Zerk-Thatcher thumps it towards centre wing, out of sight. Draper up and marking. The mullet flowing behind him. He runs back to take his kick. Makes a couple of steps inboard and then kicks high towards centre half forward. They come from everywhere. Courage going back, Foley, but couldn't take the mark. Here is Stringer. Spins around, looks to assess the option, stabs it short. The vision was magnificent. And down the throat of Langford. Kyle Langford, who kicked the game's opening goal in the first couple of minutes, can go back and have a shot from pretty much right in front, putting boot to ball from 35 out.
That's what good players do. They just absorb pressure, test tackles, either shape the footy by hand or just better find an uncontested mark with great vision. That was fantastic work by Stringer.
Looking to be the Bombers' first multiple goal kicker of the game. Kyle Langford on the approach, puts boot to ball. Umpire has to do a bit of work, and he's missed. Missing to the left-hand side. 5-2-32 the Bombers, 3-3-21 the Eagles, 9 gone second term. Grandstand AFL on ABC Perth, ABC WA and ABC Sport Digital.
The kick in finds Hunt, and the ex-Demon sends it long down the line. Draper does the roving this time at the back. A hand pass to Laverde, does very well. Down around his bootstraps, he picks up the loose footy. Hand pass to Martin, who bounces a kick to half forward. McDonald tipping Woody. What a tackle. Ran down his opponent. He was onto him in a flash. And we'll get a ball up just inside the boundary, about 40 metres out with it, and didn't know what hit him there. Umpire waits for the rucks to jog down the field. Draper and Williams go at it again. Draper wants to take clean possession. Almost carried it towards Stringer. Throws on the boot. Backing back. That's a brilliant mark from Menzies. Just stuck out the one hand. It was like a fielder on the boundary in cricket and plucked it just inside the boundary. This one will open out for a left foot snap across the body for Jai Menzies. With 10 goals this year coming into tonight. Man on the mark standing just about alongside the right hand behind post. Menzies starts his approach 2 metres in from the boundary line, steps onto the left, hooks it back and sneaks it in. That goal was exactly what the mark deserved. And Essendon have a couple in the second quarter. Their lead is back out to 17 points, 6-2-38, playing 3-3-21. We've just gone beyond the 10-minute mark of the second quarter here at Perth Stadium on Saturday night footy.
So their last 2 goals have come from Stringer directly out of stoppages, haven't they? One to Snelling, handball that Snelling snapped, and even this one here, just a rush kick by Stringer, and great mark up forward. He won't claim that as a classy assist, not like the last one he gave off, but getting that ball forward out of stoppages is critical again.
On the move. Dangerous player to stop. So you've got to do your work early on those big, powerful players, just to be able to stop in their tracks, bumper them in.
Quick check downstairs, a cash fodder.
Jake Waterman spent a fair bit of time down in the rooms with the medicos. He has just emerged and appears to be okay, but the Eagles were one down on the bench for quite some time.
Williams went bursting through the middle, kicked inside forward 50, defensive mark taken by McGrath. He stamps it to Hobbs, still in the left back pocket. Wants to work it beyond defensive 50. This is Durham, the hero of last week for the Bombers, handing it off to Heppel. Sweeps the hand pass down the commentary wing, or down the outer wing rather, but he saw it out of bounds. It'll be a throw-in instead.
See Josh Rotham be better in that contest. Inside forward 50. Going to get bumped off the footy by a much smaller opponent.
Ball spun in. Southern side of Perth Stadium. Williams palmed it down. Came here to O'Neill. Kicks up into the air. It'll land somewhere in the centre square. That's a good mark, Rotham, who Shane spoke of just a moment ago. Kicks into the right forward pocket. Well done, Allen. Too strong for Zerk Thatcher, and he takes the mark in the right forward pocket. 45-degree angle to the right. He'll kick from no more than 30 out.
Makes a massive difference. You called Rotham a lot stronger in that contest to take that mark and go quickly forward. Oscar Allen definitely worrying them with his marking strength up forward. Too strong physically for Zerk Thatcher there as well, who's not a heavy player, so he is one that you can move off the ball.
Looking for his third, Oscar Allen, the skipper for this evening. Kicks with the rights, sends it through and punches the air. His teammates, they come to him to celebrate. A big goal for the West Coast Eagles. It keeps them right in touch. Essendon's leads cut back to 11 points, 6-2-38. The Eagles now 4-3-27. The skipper's got 3 of them. And we've travelled 13 minutes in the second term on Grandstand AFL.
Yeah, don't mind the future of that forward half look with Allen, Bazzo and Rotham with that real mobile type third forward. Again, as long as he's competitive and aerially gives a contest all the time. Coming in now is a pinch hit ruckman. Much better from stoppage there too, West Coast. Clearance, quick kick, compete in front of the footy. Score.
Played every game this year, Oscar Allen, after missing the entire season in 2022. And it's the 5th time this season already he's kicked 3 or more goals. So Brian in the ruck here for Essendon. His opponent will be Josh Rotham as the backup ruck, with Waterman sitting on the bench at the moment. Brian wins it down, looking to connect with Caldwell. It was too big for him. Pack of players fall on top of the football. We'll get a secondary ball up.
Update from Darwin. The Suns by 15 points. 25 gone in the second over the Bulldogs.
Tossed in the air. Brian with the size advantage. Rotham might have just got his fingertips to that one. Brian takes the footy away, but his kick was smothered. Through comes Heppel. Sends a hopeful hand pass forward of the play, but Witherden's there to cut it off for West Coast. Quickly through the hands of Gaff and West, and now to Duggan and back out wide to Gaff. Sends another hand pass down the boundary line. They're losing ground. The kick inboard is dangerous. Might turn it over. Just goes over the head of Guelphy for Essendon. That might have been their chance to break it down. Jimby throws on the boot. Just travels the 15 and Heppel gets back. Marks alongside the centre circle. Squares the kick up to Redmond. Comes broadcast side. He crosses the centre line. Beautiful kick. And the lead cutting across about 40 metres out from goal is Guelphy. Everyone was looking at Wiedemann, who was hitting up at the kicker, but Guelphy slid across in front. And the Claremont product can go back and have a shot from about 45 out.
It's been a strong contributor to the Bombers, Guelphy. Coming over as a pretty late pick in a draft, but he's worked extremely hard at his game, and a well-liked player for his work rate up forward.
Game number 85 for Essendon, just his second of the season. Angle just better than 45 degrees. Normally pretty reliable, this kick on goal. And this one is superb. So again, Essendon have the response. There's a few locals in the crowd that enjoyed the local kicking a goal. 7-2, 44 Essendon. West Coast to 4-3, 27 midway through the second term.
It's that pressured kick by the West Coast player back inside the corridor that if that doesn't come off, if the opposition win it front of centre, they get every chance to have an open look the other side of the ground going inside 50. So by the time it got out to Redmond, he had plenty of time to just spot his target and a great kick to Guelphy.
Finished third in last year's best and fairest, Matt Guelphy. No longer with quite the same level of peroxide he had when he played for Claremont and first went across to the Bombers. I remember watching him in a number of games for the Tigers and really did impress with his work rate. It's done well, as John said. Game 85 now for him. The restart, Draper palms it down. Jimmy got in the way, tried to knock it back. It's successful enough to do so for Duggan to soccer it forward. Durham will get there first, just shy of the southern wing. Got tackled, got a hand pass out to Caldwell. Gave it on to Hind. Kicks the Bombers high towards left half forward. Backing back and then made to earn it. Williams came the other way, crunched him with it underneath all of that. The umpire saying not making enough of an effort to get rid of it. It'll be a free kick the way of the Bombers. Guelphy the player closest to it. Bit of concern downstairs for Edwards, who looks to be heading to the rooms. We'll update that in a moment. The kick in the left forward pocket for the Bombers. Brian went there, slapped down by Wiedemann, back into the corridor. Pressure comes. Hoff tried to knock it out. Perkins couldn't take it cleanly. Caldwell tries to shovel it forward. Picked up by Perkins, runs it along the ground. It grubbers its way through towards goal. Needed to take a sharp turn to the right. Didn't. Misses to the left. But minor score. 7-3, 45 the Bombers. 4-3, 27 the Eagles. 18 gone in the second term.
Duggan plays the 1-2 with Hearn and then kicks long to half back and finds Petruccelli. Pokes his kick inboard to Sheed. Racked up the touches. A losing cause last week against Hawthorn. A bit quieter so far this evening. This is possession number 7 for him. Nothing really presenting for him, so he's going to kick very wide, close to the boundary. Allen just nudging Zirk Thatcher out the way. Ridley keeps it in for Essendon. Hand pass to Martin, who carries the ball on the left hand. Fires the hand pass now to Merritt. Goes backwards to Heppel. He'll go further back. McGrath has the mark about 30 metres out from his defensive goal. Stabs the pass in short. Gets it to Merritt again. Now they cross defensive 50 with a hand pass to McGrath. Another one to Ridley. Back to McGrath. He's confronted. Squeezed up against the boundary. Gets his kick away. Draper flies, but in from the side. Hearn with the spoil. Hoff came in hard. He knew he was going to be hit by Hobbs. Happy to take the punishment. We'll get a ball up on the wing right in front of our broadcast position. Akash down on the boundary has some news for us.
Yeah, as Clint mentioned, Luke Edwards headed down to the race with one of the doctors and he didn't look in a great way, so we'll keep you updated when we know exactly what the reason is.
Bombers through Caldwell, bring it away from the restart. They kick towards right half forward and Wiedemann marks. 51 out from goal, metre in from the boundary. Wiedemann, he centre the kick, he will. He'll put it to the teeth of goal. They come from everywhere. Draper! Hung in the air. Snatched the ball, dragged it in, takes the mark. Will go back and shoot from right in front and from 25 out.
Big boys are getting tall on Draper, pushing forward as a ruckman, dangerous. It's when Bailey Williams starts to fatigue, lose concentration, the inability to go with these guys inside 50.
Yeah, and again, he had no physical pressure on him in his run at that ball.
Sam Draper looking for his second. He's missed. Out to the left-hand side. Minor score. 7-4, 46 to 4-3, 27. Bombers over the Eagles. 19 gone in the second.
It's a horrible ball drop from Draper. He won't like looking at the replay of that. The Eagles have made it to half-back where Duggan took a bounce which didn't come back to him. Now he's got problems. Hand passes out in front of himself and he's caught as he retrieves the football. But they've kept it alive well. Hunt's kick inboard is a little dangerous, but Sheed makes it okay. Diving in low, takes the mark. Hand pass while still on the ground. Releases the run of Hunt. Kicks towards Williams. Can't take the mark. West burrows in, taken high. He'll get a free kick. Man on the mark will be about 40 metres out. West has had a shot from long range earlier in the match. This one will be about 10 metres closer to goal.
Jaden's Hunt, 45 inside out kick, finds Sheed, then the ability to overlap and create and go again.
It's risk and reward, isn't it?
Yep.
That one came off. Sheed had to dive for it, but it came off and they got him forward fast.
His last shot failed to score from 50. This from 45 is out to the right. He's got the distance. It hits the fence on the full, but never looked like endangering the two big sticks. 3 goals the margin. 7-4 plays 4-4. A cash.
Yeah, Luke Edwards is downstairs for a head injury assessment.
Bombers go short. They find Heppel.
He did look a bit groggy, didn't he, on the bench?
So Ridley to Heppel, and now back to Ridley. Just a little teammate in Laverde, who's at right half back. He'll come down the commentary wing. 2-on-2 battle here. Spoil came from the side. West Coast were good enough to get a fist to it. From Long, it spilled out towards Hoff, and now it's with Duggan. Hand pass forward to Sheed. Hand pass over the top to no one in particular. 2 Bombers were closest to us. They're able to get there. Looking to knock it forward was McGrath, and then slapped away from him and back over the boundary line for a throw-in. West Coast Eagles will be happy to set up again at left half forward. Not too far away from half-time. 18 points is the Bombers' lead. Throwing in again, left half forward for West Coast. Bryant front position. Kelly picks it up off the ground. Gave it to Jimby. Goes back. On in turn to Hoff. Popped the hand pass over the top to Jimby under real pressure. Kicked straight into Sheed. Ricocheted up into the air. And then Jimmy went out after it. He's made high contact with the Bomber coming through the other way. Not much he could do about it. Hobbs had his head over the football. Can't just magically disappear off the turf. But Hobbs will get the free kick. And he'll have it in the right back pocket for the Bombers. It's still Essendon who lead by 18 points, 22 gone in the second.
Hobbs long to the wing where Draper flies, can't mark. Hearn waiting down, quick kick to the advantage of Bazzo. Takes the mark and some treatment. Umpire signals high contact. So the high contact came before the mark was paid. From 55 out, he sends it long and wide for Waterman. Ridley arrives just in the nick of time to make the spoil and then steals the footy away. Does well to get to Durham, and then Durham back to Ridley. They cruise out beyond defensive 50. Chain of hand passes comes to Guelphy. He can just about carry it to the wing. Instead he kicks to McDonald, Tip and Woody. Just forward of the centre line. He's wandered further forward, so he's called to play on. Kicks inside, a little casual. Makes it tough for Caldwell. He cops some high contact. Rather soft free kick, but he's able to play on. Stabs it in low. Wasn't well directed. Favoured Hearn, who collected the half volley well. A hand pass to Yo and then off to Long. He's at defensive 50. Hand pass has Hunt stretching. He gives it back to Yo, running into trouble, but he takes them on. Hand pass is too hot for Kelly. In the opposite direction comes McGrath. He loses in the tackle. Advantage paid. Little pokey kick for Rotham is a bit too high from Long. And now the Bombers arrive in numbers. It's Hind who lays it back towards Ridley. He's got nothing much on. Does the full 360 and then pokes a kick towards Heppel in the back pocket.
You could hear the agony from the Eagles fans in at Perth Stadium. The Bombers were able to repel this time. Heppel to Zerk Thatcher. Now out to Ryan halfback. A chance to come down the line from Brian. Now to Martin, who marks centre wing. Towards right half forward. Guelphy marks, attacking point of the centre square. Sends it inside forward 50. McDonald, Tip and Woody marking. Just was in the better position up against Hearn. Goes to ground as he marks the football. It's going to be slightly better than a 45-degree angle to the left. He'll be kicking from about 25 out.
It's unfortunate, isn't it, for West Coast? He just cooked the kick. Noah Long, unfortunately. He didn't mean to do it. And then when you're back in defence again in transition.
Yeah, should have been having a shot. A comfortable shot at goal at the other end, and everyone gets caught out with a fast rebound. And good kick by Guelphy to advantage for McDonald, Tip and Woody.
Anthony McDonald, Tip and Woody comes in, and he's let the Eagles off with that. They've missed a few. The Bombers, they really have.
Get them in it.
Minus score, 7-5-47 Essendon, 4-4-28 the Eagles. Only 25 gone in the second term. Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio, Sport Digital and the Listen app.
Feels comfortable enough for Essendon, but you don't want to keep a little bit of hope here for the home side. They might spy an opportunity here. Hearn a short kick to Sheed and then again to Hunt, who swings it out very wide towards right half back. Yo's got some space. Takes the mark and then punches a kick up the line to Waterman. He marks on the wing, right on the sponsor's logo. Looking at all the options inside, doesn't see much that he likes, so he retreats all the way back to centre-half back for Hearn. Hearn will smash this one from centre-half back almost to the wing. Barris takes the mark. Short pass hits up Kelly. It's got Gaff offering short, goes longer than that. Times the kick well, gets it to O'Neill. The build-up's promising here from West Coast. 70 out, half forward, kicks for Allen. He leaps and pitches the mark. There was a bomber in front and a bomber behind, but Allen has taken it. No,
he hasn't.
The umpire's going to call for a ball up. Well, this is a very controversial call. The umpire saying that the bomber in front had the first piece. Allen took it out of his hands and he called for a ball up. From that ball up, it falls for Kelly. Quick hand pass goes to West. Wants to fire it backwards. Now he kicks across the line towards Waterman. Essendon make a good spoil. Martin now applies a good tackle as well. We'll get a ball up 45 metres out, and the Eagles fans will tell you all about it.
I'll make myself unpopular, but that was the right decision on the replay. Definitely first touch, the player in front. I was surprised first up. They got it right on the replay. As West might have been taken high by a stringer, he was. He's got it at right half forward. He'll bounce back and stand on the outer edge of the centre square, and he moves it to Foley. Foley just in front of the centre circles. Has the ability to go on a run around Langford. Boots it long towards right, full forward. Carries over the pack, and then the Bombers happy enough to see it across the behind line for a minor score. 7-5-47 the Bombers, 4-5-29 the Eagles, 26 gone in the second term. Am I wrong? Am I unfair? Shane, John?
I would have paid it.
Yeah, it probably was a little bit far behind the guy. He did actually reach forward and snatch it out of his hand, so fair call.
Essendon zigzagging their way down the ground. Jake Stringer, earlier in the quarter, put his nose in front on the stat sheet for the most in the game. He's gone a little quiet since then. This is disposal 13. Kicks to Martin on the wing. Juggled attempt, had the arms chopped. We'll get a free kick. Eagles fans not impressed with some of the umpiring lately. For what it's worth, Essendon 9 free kicks, West Coast 8. Kick to half forward, and Wiedemann on a long lead takes the mark. The ex-Demon comes inside with his kick. Finds Merritt. Quick hand pass to Redmond. A goal kicker earlier in the game. He might set one up here. Little pokey left-footed kick to Stringer, who was involved in the setup from half-back. He's then pushed forward and became a lead on the hit-up. We'll have a shot from 45 out.
He's a dangerous player at the moment in his Stringer. He's having a hand in a lot of the good shots at goal for the Bombers. If he nails this one, he'll have had a direct role in at least 3 of their goals this quarter.
So disposal number 14 coming up for the ex-Western Bulldog, a premiership player with the Dogs. He'll have a shot after the siren to stretch the lead out to 4 goals. Stringer puts boot to ball. The goal umpire doesn't move. Perfect finish to the quarter for Essendon. They've had their work cut out at times, and they've probably left a couple of goals out there with some easy misses. But they have a very handy 24-point buffer at the long break. They lead at 8-5-53 to 4-5-29 after the Drake Stringer goal after the siren.
And they've got 8 different goal kickers as well, the Bombers. Draper, Langford, Snelling, Perkins, Redmond, Guelphy and Menzies. A couple of those did have opportunities to become Essendon's first multiple goal kicker. As Dave said, they've left a couple out there. They do lead 8-5-53 to the Eagles 4-5-29. The goal kickers for West Coast, they added a couple in that term. Oscar Allen now with 3. Jack Petruccelli has just 1. The other game, update for you there. It is half-time in Darwin between the Gold Coast Suns and the Western Bulldogs. The Suns lead that by 22 points, 8-3-51 to the Bulldogs 4-5-29. Now focus with the Bombers and now the Eagles heading to their respective rooms, and Jake Waterman making sure that he's down into the tunnel first before the rest of his teammates. Let's get the thoughts of our experts tonight on Grandstand AFL on ABC Perth and WA, ABC Sport Digital, and streaming on the ABC Listen app wherever you are around the world. Tonight, Brownlow medalist Shane Woden, the man who coached both of these clubs, in John Worsfold. Gents, what have you made of the opening half?
Oh, I thought West Coast were all right that quarter. I think they're competitive. I think their intent's been really good tonight, and they're just probably not as effective when they do go forward than what Essendon. I think Essendon had 8 scoring shots for their 10 inside 50s, which 80%, you're going real well if you score, and it probably should have been further in front where West Coast go, and they just can't keep it in their front half, and particularly inside 50. So they're not as efficient when they do go in there. So they probably should have stayed there for that last minute rather than get bounced back the other way. But not like the competitiveness of West Coast. They're thereabouts, and they started to tighten up around the stoppages from a clearance point of view, although there's still a couple of scores. But their intent's better.
Yeah, absolutely. Essendon aren't getting it easy. That would be a fair thing to say. They're having to work for it. Stoppage goals from inside forward 50. Normally clubs would have, +1, maybe two extra players defensively at your stoppages inside your defensive 50, and Stringer's been good enough on a couple of occasions to get first possession and get the ball out to someone who's kicked a goal. So that's a critical part. That is the difference in that quarter. They lose the quarter by 14 points. They get 2 goals kicked against them when they're outnumbering Essendon by a couple of players at those stoppages. So other than that, overall pretty good. Again, maybe missed a couple of easy opportunities with skill errors, but that goes throughout the game. Essendon have coughed up a couple as well. So Eagles have missed a couple of good opportunities to maybe hit the scoreboard, but that is part of being some young players learning the ropes. So overall, I think West Coast is certainly having a crack. The disappointing part for them is they still go in 24 points down at half-time. Those margins just do accumulate if you don't either win a quarter or at least square one. All of a sudden you're 30 or 40 points down at three-quarter time. So hopefully they can regroup now, get their energy levels back up and come and crack in this second half.
Yeah, really important they do that. Let's come out and change gears again. Don't fall back into a first or second gear like they have done probably in the past, I reckon, this year, West Coast. Because Essendon will come out and throw the first punch, I reckon, but can they stand in the middle of the ring as well and go with them? That'll be really important. But it has helped with those senior boys. But you can see what Elliot Yeo does when he's around the ball, his strength around the contest and ability to feed out to his runners. Shannon Hearn, when he's back, just, as John said, just keeps them calm. All right, he'll be able to win his contest down there and use the footy with precision really well. So Barras back into the side just gives you a mayoral dominance and a key area down there for him. So that certainly helps. But I love some of the game of Hunt's run has been important for him. Connor Weston, what he's done in the front half, just to be able to keep it in and be that little bull that he does. So there's some good signs there. But just for me, it's can they sustain the effort now for longer periods?
Yeah, I'm enjoying the ruck contest. Yeah, with Williams versus Draper in the main. But Williams really doing the bulk of the work against Nick Bryan and Draper. Two up-and-coming young ruckmen for the Bombers, and Williams, we know, still a young ruckman. And he's coming along pretty well. Should have kicked the goal. Draper's nailed one and missed one at the other end, but in terms of hit-outs, it's an interesting game. I think the clearances evened up a bit that quarter.
Yeah, they're only -4 now, West Coast.
So that's a big turnaround for them as well. So they obviously adjusted something at stoppages around the ground. They've still got to fix those stoppages inside their D50 where Essendon have created some scoring shots.
Can I get a word on, I'm openly a big fan, I'm not pretending otherwise, but the stand-in skipper tonight, what you've thought with he's been able to do from his opportunities?
Yeah, we get it 4 times. Supply's been all right, and he's kicked 3 goals. He's doing his job, isn't he? He's a presence when he's in there. He flies at the footy, creates a contest. He's halving it if otherwise. That's leadership.
It is, yeah. You can see his teammates are more confident kicking it to him. They look up and look for him, and once they see him, they just put the ball in his ear, and if he delivers for them, they'll get even more confidence doing that. So, yeah, look, that's credit to him. We talked about it early. Pressure on West Coast. They were 3 goals down early in that first quarter. They needed someone to kick a goal just to calm it. It was Oscar Allen who did that after other players had missed gettable shots. So that is good leadership. That is saying, I'll take the responsibility. We need this. I'm going to be confident enough to know I'll get the job done. And I think he's been outstanding.
Yeah, he does need help though, doesn't he? He'll take the best defender every time, but if one or two other keys can aerially have some presence also and attract a good defender and attract the footy, just takes a bit of heat off Oscar.
Thoughts of Shaneway Woden and John Worsfold with you on Grandstand AFL. Repeating, it is half-time. The Bombers in front, 8-5-53 to the Eagles, 4-5-29. The second half to come. The Bombers continue on their way. We get another fight back from the West Coast Eagles. That is ahead of us, but now let's pause and take the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
ABC News with David Rowlands. Detectives are investigating a car crash in Victoria's west that's killed 4 people. Beth Gibson reports.
Police say a car carrying 5 people was travelling on Wannon-Nigretta Falls Road in Bukhara in the southern Grampians at around 9:30 this morning when the driver lost control of the car and hit a tree. 4 females who are yet to be formally identified died at the scene. A teenage girl was flown to hospital with life-threatening upper body injuries. The area has been cordoned off while police investigate. Anyone who witnessed the collision or has dashcam footage has been asked to contact police.
Ukraine says Russian forces have eased attacks on its besieged eastern city of Bakhmut. Ukraine's Deputy Defence Minister says there have not been any active battles there in the past 2 days, and Russian troops are instead shelling the outskirts and approaches to the ruined city. She says Ukrainian troops still hold the heights overlooking Bakhmut from the north and south, as well as some of the city outskirts. Russia's Wagner private army has begun handing over its positions to regular Russian troops after declaring it had full control of the city following the longest and bloodiest battle of the conflict. At the same time, Ukraine says it's now ready to launch its long-anticipated counteroffensive to try and retake Russian-occupied territory. The Deputy Leader of the Liberal Party, Susan Lee, has applauded the pre-selection of Maria Kovacic to the Senate, saying she will be a flag-bearer for other women. The New South Wales Liberal Party today selected the Western Sydney businesswoman and former state president for the spot that was left vacant following the death of Senator Jim Molan. She had the backing of the moderate faction and edged out former State Minister Andrew Constance. Ms Lee says Ms Kovacic is accomplished and capable.
We need more women in the Liberal Party, and the way to do that is to pre-select women. And we've done that today. But we've pre-selected an outstanding woman.
New data from Queensland Health shows hospitals are still under significant pressure. Emergency departments are taking the brunt of it with more than 500,000 patients this quarter. Health Minister Shannon Fentiman says early intervention is key.
Because if people stop going to their GP, they put it off, they get sicker, and then they present to our emergency departments with much more serious clinical needs. And we're also seeing, of course, huge population growth. But it means we have a job to do to make sure we've got the infrastructure for these growing communities.
Another round of tourism vouchers to support River Murray businesses is on offer next month for South Australians and cross-border communities. The 12,000 River Revival vouchers, valid from July to November, aim to generate turnover for Riverland businesses hit hard by once-in-a-century floods during summer. The latest round includes houseboat operators, many of whom have only recently returned to full-scale operations. SA Tourism Minister Zoe Bettison says unused vouchers will be cancelled and reissued in a second chance draw.
I'm keeping my eyes on the river. My number one focus is how we support our operators, our accommodation providers.
Private cars could be blocked from busy streets in Melbourne's CBD during peak times as a part of a council plan to prioritise pedestrian safety. Yvette Gray has the story.
Sections of Flinders, Collins, Spencer, Burke and Spring Streets would be closed to non-essential vehicles at certain times of the day, under the proposal being considered by City of Melbourne councillors. The draft Future Streets framework identifies multiple areas under consideration which are near public transport hubs. Lord Mayor Sally Capp says pedestrian safety is a priority and the proposed changes are about making Melbourne a more walkable city. The proposal will be considered by councillors at next month's Future Melbourne Committee meeting.
China and South Korea have agreed to strengthen cooperation on semiconductor industry supply chains amid global concerns about computer chip supplies. Chinese Commerce Minister Wang Wentao met South Korea's Trade Minister on the sidelines of the APEC conference in the US city of Detroit. A statement from the Chinese Ministry of Commerce says they exchanged views about maintaining the stability of the industrial supply chain for semiconductors. Mr. Wang says China is willing to work with South Korea to deepen trade ties and investment cooperation. And in sport, Australian captain Meg Lanning has pulled out of the Women's Ashes Cricket Tour in England starting next month due to medical reasons. Cricket Australia says Alyssa Healy is set to lead the team instead. It's the second time the 31-year-old has missed the Ashes after a shoulder injury ruled her out of the 2017-18 home series. ABC News.
This winter, get ready for 8 weeks of cricket like you have never heard before.
One of the most dramatic mornings Test cricket you'll ever see.
The World Test Championship final.
Cullen's on his way. Coley is forward. Driving, caught by Green. Coley out for 4.
The Women's Ashes.
Beaumont, who struck on the pad, and Perry's appealing, and she's got another one. High fives for the Australian.
And a rivalry bigger than the game itself. The Ashes.
Goes and involves to Smith, who works it away. There it is. 200, and he'll take another for luck as well.
Grandstand Cricket, the Ashes.
Every ball, live and commercial free this winter with ABC Sport.
This is the Sir Doug Nicholls round.
On your radio, Sport Digital and the ABC Listen app.
From the throw-in comes back to Stringer. Takes on the tackler. Hand passes away. Snap comes from Snelling. It's on target. Has it got the distance? I think it has. Barris was getting back. Couldn't quite reach it inside the line, and Snelling is the first to add a goal to the scoreboard in the second quarter.
Came here to O'Neill, kicks up into the air, then somewhere in the centre square. That's a good mark, Robin. Kicks into the right forward pocket. Well done, Allen. Too strong, berserk dasher, and he takes the mark in the right forward pocket. 45-degree angle to the right. He'll kick from no more than 30 out. Looking for his third, Oscar Allen. Kicks with the rights. Sends it through and punches the air. A big goal for the West Coast Eagles. It keeps them right in touch.
Merritt, quick hand pass to Redmond. A goal kicker earlier in the game. He might set one up here. Little pokey left-footed kick to Stringer, who was involved in the setup from half-back. He's then pushed forward. We'll have a shot from 45 out. He'll have a shot after the siren to stretch the lead out to 4 goals. Stringer puts boot to ball. The goal umpire doesn't move. Perfect finish to the quarter for Essendon. They've had their work cut out at times, and they've probably left a couple of goals out there with some easy misses. But they have a very handy 24-point buffer at the long break.
The 2023 Sir Doug Nicholls round.
On ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital, and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Welcome back to Perth Stadium. The Bombers lead at the main break, 8-5-53 to the Eagles 4-5-29. The game up in Darwin is back underway in the third term. Early stages, admittedly, but the Suns still lead by 15 points. Bulldogs just getting a goal a short time ago. Cut the margin of that. 5-6-36, the Western Bulldogs. The Suns are 8-3-51. What could be a pivotal game for the Gold Coast Suns season. So too, perhaps, for the Bombers. Can they continue on? 5-5 at the moment, bouncing into this game after a thrilling win over Richmond. And their first dream time at the G win in some time as well. Can they continue on? What can West Coast do from here? Let's have a look at all the numbers. Dave Lindsay's got them in front of him.
Pretty even on the stat sheet too. Essendon 184 disposals, West Coast 180. More kicks for Essendon than hand passes, 107 to 77, whereas West Coast 91 kicks, 89 hand passes, virtually going 1 for 1 there. The marks are 55 to 45 in favour of Essendon as well. They lead the contested possessions by 16. The Eagles lead the uncontested by 7. The clearances have evened up a bit. It was the Bombers 12-3 at quarter time. It's now 17 to 13, so the Eagles had much the better in that category during this second quarter. Tackles, Essendon +1, the inside 50s, also Essendon +1. They're leading that 24 to 23. Leading possession winners on the ground, firstly for our leaders, Essendon. Zach Merritt's had 15. He's had 4 kicks and 11 hand passes, only 84 metres gained for a player with 15 disposals. Jake Stringer having far more impact with his 14 possessions. He's also kicked a goal. Nick Martin's had 14 touches, also taken 4 marks. Ridley 14 possessions. McGrath in defence with 12. Caldwell and Redmond 11 each, and Draper with 10 touches, 6 hit-outs and a goal for the Essendon Ruckman. Meanwhile, for West Coast, Duggan and Hunt lead the way with 16 possessions each. Tim Kelly's had 14 touches. Brady Hoff, the youngster, with 13 disposals, 10 of those hand passes. Yo on his return to the side, 13 possessions. Jinby's had 12. Hearn, Sheed and West 10 each. And in some news during halftime, Akash did mention before halftime Luke Edwards was having an assessment for potential concussion. He's now been subbed out of the game Greg Clark will come in. The Eagles have announced that on social media during the half-time break. So Greg Clark, the sub, is activated, and we won't see Luke Edwards during the second half, Glenn.
And perhaps, unfortunately for Greg Clark, it was highlighted this week that at the moment this will be his 17th game. He's yet to have a victory. Could that change this evening? The West Coast Eagles will be very keen to see if they can end this run that has seen them lose their last 8 games up against the Bombers. What would the messaging have been at half-time from Adam Simpson? How do you spin that? As you mentioned before, you go in, you're 24 points down. They've battled hard. What do you say if you're the coach? Shane Woewode?
I think their effort and intent has been pretty good. They've just probably got to tidy up their front half stuff. And John did mention too some stoppage stuff in their back half, in particular D50. But certainly their entries and how they're going in, probably need a bit cleaner and effective when they do go inside 50. It is bouncing a little bit too much. But there's not a lot in it. There are a couple of little errors there, here and there. They can tidy those things up. They're getting shots on goal and they'll be scoring. So then the game's a lot tighter. They're missing them. They're getting bounced back the other way. So that's all I'll be going on right now. Just a bit more of the same.
What would you focus on, John?
Yeah, I really feel in these situations for Simo, he'll be as nervous as anything now that we've held up all right for a half, but we're still 24 points down. You know, the boys are cracking in. If they drop off at all, floodgates could open. He'll be a bit nervous about that. You know, at halftime, would he be downstairs thinking, what can we do to try and win this game? Or is reality, let's just hold on. Let's just keep the heat on. If we can maintain this, maybe peg it back a bit, that'd be a good result. But he won't want the floodgates to open. So it is a challenging position to be in when you're really only 4 scoring shots behind. But knowing the personnel he's got out there, does he have a crack at saying, can we create something here to try and get through and score and win this game? Or is he just going to keep a defensive mindset, try and keep it a low-scoring game that they hang in there throughout the course of the 4 quarters?
How much is it on the tactical and the structure? And can you play the emotional, the big speech at these times after what they've been through this week?
I don't think you can play that with a young team like this. Really, he would have been, I'm guessing he would have been pretty supportive and positive with them in that half of footy. He won't want them to think the job's done. He'll want them coming out thinking we've got to match or increase our intensity and hang in there as long as we can to keep the heat on the Bombers. If we can keep the heat on and you know, if they can close that margin to a couple of goals, Bombers will start to feel the heat as well. So, yeah, I think Simo, tactically, probably not too much he can do. Imploring the players to maintain the energy, that's what he'll be focusing on.
Second half coming up in just a few moments. The Bombers lead, and they're up by 24 points. They led at quarter time by 10. So much focus will be on Oscar Allen. He's got 3 goals to his name. The Eagles will need him to continue to provide a real presence and a real threat up forward. How will Essendon be able to push on from here? Third term about to start. Umpire holds the ball aloft. Glad you could be with us on Grandstand AFL thanks to ABC Sport. Here's Dave Lindsay.
And the lead rucks will take centre stage to start this quarter with Draper up against Williams. Draper wins it down, but straight to Kelly. Hands it off to Sheed. The Eagles go forward first. The kick goes to half forward where McGrath softens it out of midair. It lands in the lap of Merritt, who was dragged to ground. And his opponent, Dom Sheed, is very slow to get to his feet. He's on target to play game 150 next week against Collingwood. Rather appropriate for him. There won't be too many Magpie fans who will celebrate his 150. But he looks okay now as he gets to his feet and stands the mark. Merritt, a long kick towards half forward, some hanging on. Free kick will go the way of the Eagles this time against McDonald, Tip and Woody. And Jaden Hunt has that free kick. Just looking back at Sheed, he is hobbling a little bit and the body language doesn't look great. Just threw his head back as he went to jog a little bit. Short pass from Hunt finds Hearn. He'll go short to Duggan again. Leading possession went on the ground alongside Jaden Hunt. This will be disposal 17. Still at right half back with a short pass to Kelly. Hands it off to Duggan, who runs straight into trouble. Forced to retreat with his hand pass to Yo. He's been corralled by McDonald, Tip and Woody. Does a nice little shimmy to get out of trouble and then sprays the kick wide and puts it out of bounds on the full. We've had a little bit of that from Elliot Yo tonight. Some good and some rust. There's no doubt about that. 4 goals, the margin still to Essendon. We're in the second minute of the third quarter.
Perkins sends it back inside the attacking 50. Eagles flying up Witherden won it down for West Coast. Kelly tries to gather. Stringer into his back. Umpire says play on. Ball still there to be won. Stringer tries to take it away. Works it out the side. It came to Caldwell to Hobbs. Strong tackle from Yo. Picked up by Kelly. Caldwell tried to get in the way of Ginby. Duggan gathers. Tries to work his way forward. It's held into him as he's tackled the ground.
Gee, he pummeled Hobbs in, didn't he?
Yeah, he's a tough young player, Hobbs, yes. But you can see the power difference when you've got a mature player like Yo.
Williams won the tap down. It ricocheted off the back heel of Stringer. They went over the boundary line for another throwing, 50 metres out from the Bombers' attacking goal, heading to the Farmer Freeway end of Perth Stadium, to the left of our broadcast position. It's on the northern wing. Throw it in again. Trying to take it away was Caldwell. With it and right with him, tackled him. Eventually Caldwell got it out. Guelphy went straight into two Eagles defenders. One was Yo, another Duggan. They take him to ground. Still inside forward 50 for Essendon. 8-5-53 the Bombers, 4-5-29 the Eagles. 2.5 gone in the third.
Bailey Williams with 19 hitouts tonight. Draper 7 and Bryan 8. Draper might have won that one out towards Langford. Throws on the left. Gains about 15 metres. It bounces towards goal. Yo running back to defensive goal. That was clever. Nice sidestep. Gets rid of Guelphy. Then kicks high, but Ridley reads the ball so well in flight. Stepped around a couple of players and takes the mark uncontested at the end. He's at left half forward. A kick and a half from goal. Sets it up to the top of the goal square. Draper in from the side. He collapses to ground. Hearn waiting down wins the crumbs. A hand pass away to Hunt. High kick, and it's all red and black where this ball will land. Redmond had the arms chopped in the end. Arriving late was Bazzo. And Redmond will get the free kick now at right half forward. Essendon to load up once more, but it's a very crowded attacking 50. The Eagles have plenty of numbers back. They've covered all the options. They've got a couple of spares as well. Redmond to the top of the goal square. Wiedemann, a standing jump. Barris with the spoil. Caldwell has one arm held. Somehow gets the hand pass away. Kelly wins it for the Eagles off to Duggan. Hoists it high again. Bazzo the hope here. Spoil from Redmond brings it to ground. Essendon with numbers and McGrath will collect. He'll go backward but miss the target. Chance for Kelly perhaps. Durham comes in. He's dived on the footy and now he's tackled. That'll be holding the ball. Free kick to the Eagles. Southern side win. They trail by 24 points. It's still as it was at half-time.
Ginby looks to play on. Moves it short. This is Clark on the logo. Southern wing. Kicks towards left half forward to Gaff, who marks. Right up against the boundary. 2 kicks from goal. Andrew Gaff looks inboard. That's where the kick goes. It's not a great one. Bounces in front of Hearn, who's able to gather. Stabs it inside forward to Allen. He was the target. He came surging out on the lead. It was honoured and he takes the mark. He is, though, deep in the left forward pocket. He'll be kicking from 45 out from goal.
It's a beautiful kick, Shannon Hearn. Inside 50. Geez, a big pocket opened up for him and straight up. It's great hands.
Yeah, we talked about that at half-time, that they just have so much confidence to look for Allen and just put it out, give him a fair crack at it, and he's not letting them down at all.
This is a tough kick. His boots start on the boundary line. Kicking from 47 metres out. It's across the face and punched through for a rush behind. Minor score, 4-6-30 the Eagles, 8-5-53 the Bombers, 5 gone in the third on Grandstand AFL, ABC Perth, WA and ABC Sport Digital.
Essendon almost playing it out from the goalkeeper style, EPL style really, just running it straight out of the goal square and taking on whatever the Eagles have got in front. About 5 possessions they've gone backwards in the end to McGrath, who has it in the left back pocket. Long kick towards the wing. Bryan steps around an opponent. Can't take the mark with the hands stretched above his head. Barris picking up the loose footy. Hands it back to Hunt and a diving smother from Menzies forces a boundary throw in. He's applauded by Dyson Heppel behind the boundary, who picks it up and flicks it over his shoulder. Quite cleverly there back to the boundary umpire. Akash Potidar is our boundary rider this evening.
Yeah, Dave, you're right. Dom Sheed wasn't moving particularly well, and he's finally managed to come to the bench. He's now speaking with the physio and the doctor.
Coming forward, Williams takes clean possession in front of Draper. Got it to Kelly. He was tackled, spun and pinged for incorrect disposal. Perkins with the tackle. He'll have the free kick for the Bombers. Between left half back and centre wing. Perkins kicks high. And game 50 towards left half forward. Going back, Williams got a touch on it. Spilled down to Ginby. Did well with a hand pass. Was able to release Hoff. Kicks down the commentary wing and out marking Kelly. Perkins in best position takes the mark and then goes back inboard to Martin. Did spend last summer training with the West Coast Eagles before being picked up by the Bombers. To Redmond, to Merritt, running by Martin again. Lovely pass inside forward 50. He had 2 to hit. Coming out was Wiedemann if he'd wanted him. Instead, the player just in front who can still go and have a shot on goal from no more than 45 out is Hobbs.
We just went fast off turnover. Essendon created some good overlap back inside. Brave mark by Hobbs.
Kick 2 for the season so far. Hobbs gets underneath it. Kick's still got plenty on it. And it drops across the goal line for the Bombers' 10th. 9/5/59 to 4/6/30. That means they've now got 9 different goal kickers, the Essendon Football Club. Hobbs adding his name to that list. 9/5/59 to 4/6/30, the West Coast Eagles. 7 and a bit gone in the third on Grandstand AFL.
Martin's been very good tonight for Essendon. Just his ability to, by foot, and cut him up through the middle of the ground.
He's a smart player, isn't he? He
Very
seems to find space and that bit of time. He obviously works hard, works extremely hard, which means he can get himself into good positions to receive the ball in some space, and he's pretty clever. He looks forward at the right times.
Last 3 goals of the game going Essendon's way, 2 just before half-time and the first of the third quarter. Out of the middle go West Coast though. Kelly a hand pass to O'Neill. Kick goes too far for Oscar Allen on the lead. Out the back, Heppel with a hand pass along the ground to McGrath. Umpire spotted a free kick. It'll go the way of Dyson Heppel. Some high contact. The Essendon veteran has it just outside of the defensive goal square. He kicks to the back pocket for Redmond. 9 individual goal scorers, as Clint mentioned. Would certainly please Brad Scott. Wouldn't please the forwards for Essendon. They know that there's 11 players that have kicked 4 goals or more this year against the Eagles. Some of them would have been ready to fill their boots here this evening. Hasn't opened up for them just yet. A long kick towards the wing, but it's all blue and gold. Hunter hand pass to Yo. Had it in the right hand, switched to the left boot, gets good distance on the kick. Oscar Allen knocked over. Everyone turns towards the men in the fluoro. No whistle. Ball goes over the back and trickles through for a behind. And the margin now 28 points in favour of Essendon. 9 minutes played, third quarter.
Bombers moved short. Redmond to Heppel. Heppel on again to Hind. And it's by hand to Martin. And almost turns it over. Went through the hands of Jimby. Sat there for Durham though. Comes back again into the middle of the ground. This is Hobbs. Hobbs looking to switch play out towards left half back. The ball hung in the air for an inordinate amount of time before it eventually made its way to Laverde. Moves it short to Zerk Thatcher between left half back and centre wing. He'll go back across half back. Here's Heppel. Fluoro yellow boots. Lets to go short to Laverde, one of the inclusions this week. Missing a couple of games with a shoulder. Now it's with Martin. It's a precise and controlled build-up from the Bombers. From Hind. Now just to the outer edge of the centre circles. It's with Stringer. Trots back and assesses the option. Moves it short. Martin was set a real task. Was able to bring it to ground though nonetheless. Up against O'Neill. Merritt was there. Picked up the crumbs and stabs it short to Stringer, who marks again just forward of the centre circles. 9-5 plays 4-7. Bombers over the Eagles.
Stringer takes on the man on the mark. Gets around him. Kicks towards full forward. Barris playing in front. Goes the fist. Could have almost taken the mark. Long's tackled by 2 Essendon forwards. There'll be a stoppage 25 metres out from the Farmer Freeway end goals.
Built that ball well up, Essendon. They're patient.
Draper,
West Coast defend.
Draper and Williams go at it. Williams slaps it forward. Yo onto the loose footy. Gives a hand pass off to Hoff, who calls for a lead, and he gets one from Allen, who takes this one with a strong pair of hands up above the eyes, helping out at half back. Looks backwards. Hits up Yo on defensive 50. He'll switch. A long and high kick across the defensive 50 line to Hearn. Has an immediate bounce after taking the mark and then punches a low kick to Hunt. Kick inside, comes to Foley. They've made it to halfway. Hand pass back to Hearn. He could go to the goal square. He doesn't. He guides the kick to the pocket instead to Waterman. And the Eagles did exactly what Essendon wanted to do, but they will get a shot for goal.
Yeah, good to have the ball in Shannon Hearn's hands a couple of times there going forward. He set them up, managed to come up the ground, get that second possession and spotted Waterman in space.
15 disposals tonight for Shannon Hearn, 11 of those kicks. Just under 350 metres gained from his disposals. Now Jake Waterman, he's had 5 kicks and kicked 1 behind. This is a tough one. From just inside 50, boundary about 10 metres away to his left-hand side. He's pushed it right across the face. Brian tried to slap it through from behind.
It's a win.
Yeah, didn't get much on it at all, and it goes over his head, bouncing just inside the field of play. We'll get a boundary throw in for the West Coast Eagles in the right forward pocket. City end of the ground. They trail by 28, approaching the midway point of the third quarter.
What can they do from the stoppage here, West Coast? Well, spun back in right next to the right-hand behind post. Brian palmed it down against Bazzo into the chest of O'Neill. He's tackled into the ground. He'll get a free kick into his back, his opponent. Now a chance. It's against Dyson Heppel, who gets up and his expression cannot believe that he's given away the free kick. Can O'Neill go back and kick the goal? He was the late in.
Pushed himself forward, didn't he?
Yeah,
played it well.
It's that tight one, isn't it?
Yeah.
It looks like he has just thrown his body weight forward, and Heppel had nowhere to go. It wasn't Heppel's weight that was pushing him down. But well played.
Tighter than a 45-degree angle to the right. He'll kick from 25 out. Here he comes. Xavier O'Neill pushes it across the face. Bombers fans will say football justice. A minor score.
Left a few out there, West Coast.
They have. It's going to hurt them. But they've got to hang in there. We talked about Oscar Allen showing that leadership and nailing them before.
27 points now, the lead for Essendon. They've worked it to half-back. Heppel a hand pass to the speedster in McGrath, who wants to take them on. 3 bounces with a backpack pretty much right behind him there in Bazzo. Kick wasn't great. McDonald Tipperwoody's pick up at half-forward's outstanding. Turns inside with a hand pass, but there's not too much red and black there. Ginby chops it off. Hand pass back to Duggan, kicks to the wing. Heppel leaps in from the side to make the spoil. Brings the ball to ground. Petricelli swoops on it. Hand pass to Allen. His hand pass into the corridor finds Gaff. Another one to the run of Hunt. He's got a player free in Waterman on attacking 50. Takes it. Off 2 steps. Long towards goal. West gets back there. So that just stretches. It's cleared the line. Great footy from the Eagles. Waterman at last gets the goal. And they hang in there once more, the home team. 9-5-59 Essendon. Leading West Coast 5-8-38. 14 minutes played in the third quarter. You listen to Grandstand AFL from Perth Stadium here. It's John Worsfold and Shane Woden, your experts.
So this guy's been a handy recruit for West Coast, Jaden Hunt. He's had a terrific game tonight. I think his ability to drive off halfback. I thought he created the last inside 50 when Shannon Hearn hit Oscar Allen up. Just his ability to work hard and overlap.
Yeah, it's interesting. They got to half forward, the Bombers, and McDonald Tipperwoody, a great pickup, but he hasn't got that sharpness where he'd shrug a tackle or hit a teammate up. He turned the ball over then under pressure, and it's gone straight back the other way. You can just see McDonald Tipperwoody is not back to his best yet. I think they're going to stick with him throughout the course of this year, because at his best, he'll be very handy.
Brian wins the tap down to Stringer, tackled by Kelly. Couldn't get a clear kick away. Meeting it though, Martin sweeps the hand pass backwards to Hobbs. Kicks towards the outer side of the ground, but only finds Clark. He wanted Stringer, who glares back inboard. Clark kicked it short to Duggan. Running by Foley, sends it inside forward 50, no mark taken, spilled at the back to McGrath, hands it off now to Hyde, has to backtrack, getting away from West. Moves it short again to Ridley, marking between centre half back and fullback, and short again to Hobbs, still inside his defensive 50, out to Redmond at left half back for the Bombers.
He has some space to run after taking the mark. Runs his full measure, has a bounce, draws the next man towards him. Hand pass to Martin, back to Redmond. Long hand pass forward of the play, finds Menzie. He can carry it to about 75 out. Kick in the direction of Wiedemann, brings it to ground, can't take it. Spills out towards Langford, goes backward with his hand pass, hoping for Caldwell. Accidental soccer from Guelphy, goes all the way back to the top of the 50. Hind is there, spreads his kick out wide. Chance perhaps. Not collected just yet by Durham. Now he does. Shrugs the tackle, keeps it in. Left foot snap goes right across the face. He misses everything by about 10 metres. It'll be a free kick to West Coast in the right back pocket. The margin remains 21 points. So Cash on the boundary.
Yeah, Dom Sheed's been back on the field now for a couple of minutes with his lower right leg heavily strapped, but he's definitely not moving freely.
Cash Fodadar downstairs, keeping you up to date with everything happening along the boundary line as the Eagles Move it short. Duggan to Hearn. And stabs it back into the centre corridor in the direction of Witherden, who'll turn and send it back to his defensive goal square to Duggan, who marks and then thumps it towards left half back. This is Hunt. Waits and marks. Plays on, heading to the outer side. Here's Waterman. Love on the right hand. Kicks the Eagles to left half forward. Oh, Robin should have marked it, had hands on it, spilt down. Brian's behind him, was happy to gather it, gave it behind. Now into the middle of the ground to Martin, who moves it to Langford. He's under pressure. Great pressure too, came from O'Neill. They control the football though, the Bombers. Now it's with Redmond. Kicks towards left half forward. Going up Wiedemann. Had to sit on Hearn. Takes the mark. 51 from goal. Puts it into the left forward pocket. It bounces in front of McDonald, Tip and Woody. He can't break the Waterman tackle. Great tackle, Jake Waterman. He wins the free kick. And he'll have it for the Eagles in the right back pocket. 9-5-59 the Bombers. 5-8-38 the Eagles. 17 gone in the third.
Waterman's long kick up the line. Langford reading it best. Takes the mark. Essendon can go inside 50 once more. He decides instead to square the kick up to Heppel. Front edge of the centre square. Making a lead across the attacking 50 is Menzies. That's ignored. So instead it's set up high. Big leap at it, but no mark taken. Eagles waiting down. Clark had a chance, missed it. Here's Hoff now. Chance for Langford for Essendon. Hand pass to Guelphy. Steps out on the right, starts to bend it back. Doesn't get enough hook onto it. He's pushing it across the face for a behind. Margin 22 points. 9-6-60. Plays 5-8-38. Just about to tick into time on in a minute or two here in the third quarter.
Suns by 17. 27 gone in the third at Darwin. Bulldogs trying to extend their 5-game winning streak as the Eagles work it around their defensive 50. From Hearn to Witherden, back to Hearn, who's at fullback. Goes on a bit of a run. Measures the kick, caresses it towards Hoff, marking it right half-back. Goes short again, Petruccelli. Still at right half-back for West Coast. 2 metres in from the boundary beneath our broadcast position on the northern wing. He'll get told to move it on. Stabs the kick and finds Hearn in this slow, deliberate approach tonight from the West Coast Eagles. Moving it on towards Hunt. He'll mark and he will go. Takes on the speed of Guelphy. Gets a kick into the right forward pocket. Floating in from the side is West. Marking 45 from goal. Probably 6 or 7 metres in from the boundary. Can Connor West go back and kick his first?
Probably too far out.
Yeah, looking at his form shots of goal tonight, well, I'm not that confident from here, but hopefully he can hit it sweet.
Let's see. Will he put it towards the teeth of goal, or will he go for goal? West sends it on its way. He's decided to look for the 6 points. Misses to the right-hand side. 5-9-39 the Eagles. They trail the Bombers 9-6-60 as we approach time on in the third on Grandstand AFL. Clint Wilden alongside Dave Lindsay and commentary, our experts Shane Woden and John Worsfold.
Hind bringing it back into play with a thumping kick. He spotted up Wiedemann at half-back. Quick hand pass inside to Merritt. They've moved this very sharp Essendon towards half-forward. Guelphy, clever slap-on to the advantage of Draper, who can pick it up in the pocket. He's got options aplenty. Hand pass to Langford in the goal square. They've gone coast to coast. Well done, Bombers. And they'll all go back to Guelphy. He was the man who put his body on the line to slap it to Draper's advantage. And Langford at long last becomes Essendon's first multiple goal kicker. The lead out to 27 points, I should say. 10-6-66 to 5-9-39. 20 minutes and a half gone in the third term here at Perth Stadium.
Yes, again, from a pretty gettable shot at goal that West pushed it right, hit the ball pretty well, but they're just giving the Bombers a chance to rebound against them. And, you know, a great effort by Guelphy. Zach Merritt getting the ball in his hands. One of the few times tonight we've seen Zach Merritt actually be able to go forward with his kick, put it into the pathway for Guelphy. But, yeah, the Eagles have to start taking these shots at goal. 5-9. They're not far behind on scoring shots, and the inside 50s have been hanging in there. But if they're not going to take those gettable shots at goal, those margins are going to keep creeping out.
Second time tonight the Bombers have scored from a kick-in.
Yeah, it's the Wiedemann mark on the outside. They just couldn't get it to ground. And then out the back.
The restart. Williams with the fingertip touch, but it was down to Caldwell. Gave it to Snelling, then to Merritt. Back to Snelling. Kicks the Bombers short. Finds him a teammate in Martin, who's at full stretch, attacking point of the centre square. Kicks inside forward 50. He's out again, Langford. The goal just seconds ago. He'll wheel around from 50 out from goal. He thumps this home. His third. It's a telling blow for the Bombers. 11-6-73 to the Eagles, 5-9-39, 21 gone in the third. He hit that beautifully.
Yeah, it was a great grab on a hard lead and just balanced himself up, used his momentum to kick a great goal from outside 50. He is a very good kick for goal. Kyle Langford, he's very good in the air as well. So we've seen that on display a couple of times tonight. But, gee, it hurts, doesn't it? A goal from a kick-in to the centre, goal from a centre clearance. And that just, we touched on it, it blows the margin out so quickly if the opposition grab their opportunities like the Bombers have, and West Coast have missed too many this quarter.
Caldwell's hands at centre bounce, elite. And then Nick Martin, that's the difference, I reckon, tonight. Their ability when they go forward, be effective when they go inside 50 and hit that kick. Even though it's a hard mark, but it's a gettable one.
Head down to a cash Fodder shortly. In the middle, Yo wrestles his way free. Then throws on the boot. It's a wobbly kick straight up the middle. Zirk Thatcher works Allen off the line of the football. Redmond collects the loose one. Little hand pass to D'Ambrosio. He's coming into the game. We'll speak to Akash shortly to find out who might have stepped out for the Bombers. Little kick into the pocket. Essendon to slow things down here with the ball in the hand of Perkins.
Yeah, Brian's been subbed.
Brian's the one. A long kick up the line towards Heppel. He'll duck out towards the right and take this mark one-on-one against Petruccelli. He's at left half back. Essendon with 5 of the last 6 goals of the game, despite all the good work of West Coast. Certainly missed some opportunities. Short here to Merritt. Merritt will go short again to Hind. And this kick mark style of play that we saw Essendon use so effectively last week, they've used at times here this evening. They've moved into this fashion right now. They'll go back inside defensive 50 with a kick to Ridley. And he'll go short now to Heppel, who's still at left half back.
Heppel pauses. Lean up from Caldwell was ignored, so Heppel's decided to go further down the line. Jimby out to it, got hands to it. Probably could have marked it, doesn't. Gaffs at the back though for the Eagles. Pops a hand pass up in the air for Kelly. Will kick towards Allen, marking just forward of the wing. Commentary side of the ground. Oh, disappointing kick from him. Was trying to measure the pass to Gaff, I think. Getting in the way though was Caldwell, and he marks for the Bombers. Here's a chance for them to come forward again. Sharing it around. Oh, big hit. Bumping into the side of Caldwell. Spilled out to Heppel. Not a great hand pass inboard though. Chance for Witherden. Now to Allen. Hand pass missed its target again. Donald Tippenwoody tries to pick it up. He's able to knock it away. Bombers kick. They hurry it forward towards left half forward. Yo should get back first from the Perkins kick. They'll mop things up, the Eagles. Into the hands of Barris. Barris moves to Sheed, and Sheed will go short to West. The Eagles looking to set up again from just shy of centre wing. Essendon 11-6-72. The Eagles 5-9-39. 24 gone in the third on Grandstand AFL.
Eagles concede about 80 metres to get it back to fullback here for Foley. He'll swing it out to the southern side. Half-back flank, the mark taken by Hunt. He's not able to run on this time. He does have an option on the wing, though. The kick to Witherden, who's shoved to ground by Zirk Thatcher after taking the mark. Umpire comes in quickly and just pulls Zirk Thatcher back 2 metres. Could have easily been 50. Now back to Hunt. Hunt goes to Sheed, kicks with the right boot. Off a step towards our broadcast side wing here for Duggan. Hand pass to Yo. They've worked this beautifully. The kick to Williams. He didn't get to it. Just swung away from him at the last moment. Opposing ruckman in Draper takes the crumbs. Looks very ungainly. Had nothing on down the ground, so angled his kick towards the wing, hoping for Wiedemann to take a miracle mark. Yo controlled him well, gets it back to Barris. Short pass to Duggan, and they're just basically knocking it between the half-back lines at the moment.
Duggan, dangerous kick. Hunt was made to earn it against Menzie. Did well to knock it down, gave it to Witherden. Short kick's able to find Long in front of McDonald Tippenwoody takes the mark. He'll look to put it into the left forward pocket. The lead was there from Rothen. Attacked the football, won it to ground. Couldn't mark it though. The Bombers clear through Zirk Thatcher. Kicked around the body, but down the throat of Sheed, who marks it left half forward. He's getting plenty of advice from the teammates nearby to send it deep. Sheed, 2 kicks from goal. Into the left forward pocket. Bombers had numbers. At the back, Jinby. Hand pass again to Clark. Got the arms free to Petruccelli, who's tackled as the siren sounds. With the ball in the left forward pocket for the West Coast Eagles for three-quarter time. Essendon, whose lead was 24 points at the half, have stretched that to 33 points by three-quarter time. 11-6-72 the Bombers. The Eagles 5-9-39. Goal kickers for Essendon. Langford has 3, and the rest are singles. Draper, Hobbs, Snelling, Perkins, Stringer, Redmond, Guelphy and Menzies. While for West Coast, 3 to Oscar Allen, singles to Waterman and to Petruccelli. 11-6-72 Essendon, 5-9-39 the West Coast Eagles. Wherever you're listening on ABC Radio Perth and WA, on ABC Sport Digital and streaming on the ABC Listen app. Look for the AFL Extra button. This is Grandstand AFL.
You're dead, man.
Yep, I'm back for an encore.
Okay, I'm going crazy.
Two best friends, but one has kind of passed on.
I'm stuck in limbo, you're stuck with me.
So, what's the unfinished business?
He made a big payment out of the business account.
What were you hiding?
A new Aussie series that proves friendship never dies.
Some souls remain to pass on profound wisdom.
That's not you.
In Limbo.
Why me?
Because you're my best friend.
Wednesday nights on ABC TV and streaming on ABC iView.
This is the Sir Doug Nicholls round.
On your radio, Sport Digital and the ABC Listen app.
Petruccelli swoops on it. Hand pass to Allen. His hand pass into the corridor finds Gaff. Another one to the run of Hunt. He's got a player free in Waterman on attacking 50. Takes it. Off 2 steps. Long towards goal. West gets back. There's it. That just stretches. It's cleared the line. Great footy from the Eagles. Waterman at last gets the goal. And they hang in there once more, the home team. Hine bringing it back into play with a thumping kick. He spotted up Wiedemann at half-back. Quick hand pass inside to Merritt. They've moved this very sharp Essendon towards half-forward. Guelphy, clever slap-on to the advantage of Draper, who can pick it up in the pocket. He's got options aplenty. Hand pass to Langford in the goal square. They've gone coast to coast. And Langford at long last becomes Essendon's first multiple goal kicker.
Martin was a full stretch, attacking point of the centre square. Kicks inside forward, 50. He's out again, Langford. The goal just seconds ago. He'll wheel around from 50 out from goal. He thumps this home. He's third. It's a telling blow for the Bombers.
The 2023 Sir Doug Nicholls round.
On ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Games earlier today in round 11, the second round of the Doug Nicholls rounds. Hawthorn by 10 points over St Kilda. Walilup beat Narm. The Dockers over the Demons by 7. And GWS as well, sneaking home against Geelong at Cardinia Park. The Giants by a couple of points there as well. 7 points the win for GWS. The other game up in Darwin. Final term has just started. The Suns lead the Bulldogs by 17. Gold Coast 11-5-71 to the Western Bulldogs 8-6-54. While here at Perth Stadium, it's the Bombers by 33, 11-6-72 to West Coast 5-9-39. Let's get the thoughts of our experts on Grandstand AFL tonight. John Worsfold and Shane Woden.
Well, John, I thought that was an arm wrestle of a quarter, really, between the two teams. Again, pretty similar to the second term when Essendon did go forward. They're just more effective. So 3 goals won from their 11 entries compared to 1 goal 4. So we spoke about, didn't we, when West Coast missed it, it seemed like Essendon just bounced back and went coast to coast and scored, and then when the back off a centre bounce. So although the intent and the effort's there, they're just not clean enough at the moment, West Coast, to, and particularly in their front half, to be anywhere near Essendon at this stage.
You can definitely see the difference in the younger players. You know, you see Langford coming out on a lead. He gets nailed by Nick Martin with a solid kick, takes a great mark at speed and kicks a good goal. At the other end, West Coast went in, hit a very similar kick towards Bazzo, and it just slips through his hands. Now, give Bazzo 50 games, 60 games under his belt. He's probably got the confidence to time it better and clunk that and have a shot. So that's the difference, those younger players. Even like some of West Coast's turnovers came from a Hobbs centre clearance. That young player feels the heat more and doesn't quite direct his disposals out of a hot centre bounce clearance versus a Caldwell or a Stringer or a Merritt. So West Coast have more of those younger players that are getting opportunities. We've seen Rotham's taken a couple of good marks, but he's dropped some that he should be taking now. You know, he is a player that really has to nail those 70% opportunities that are presented to him. He has to start to clunk those more often. But overall, really, it was just not taking their opportunities. They had reasonable shots at goal that they didn't convert, and Essendon converted theirs going the other way, which just squeezes that lead out again. We've talked about it. It was 10 points at quarter time. There hasn't been much in it. A couple of goals each quarter, but all of a sudden you're 6 goals behind.
Stats to three-quarter time. Essendon 292 disposals to 270. They're dead level in hand passes, so the difference come in the kicks. Essendon 173, West Coast 151. They lead contested possessions by 20, the Bombers, and uncontested by 3. They lead the marks 92 to 82. The Bombers are +1 for inside 50s, 35 to 34. They're also +1 in tackles, 35 to 34. Leading possession winners firstly for our leaders, Essendon, Nick Martin. A happy homecoming for him so far this evening. 24 disposals, 16 kicks and 8 hand passes. Ridley's had 22 touches in defence. Merritt 21. Redmond also 21. Heppel and McGrath 19 each. While for West Coast, Jaden Hunt's had a good match, 26 disposals, 25 for Duggan. Yo on his return, 22. And Tim Kelly's had 20 possessions as well.
Hear the didgeridoos in the background. They're coming from you from the roof here at Perth Stadium. Not sure I'd be up there. The two Indigenous musicians who serenaded us throughout three-quarter time, right on the very top of the Perth Stadium roof at the city end of the ground. There's a quarter to come here in the West. 11-6-72 the Bombers, the Eagles 5-9-39. Can they ask some questions of Essendon in this final term? They go at it. Williams wins the tap down, but it's straight to Caldwell. Got it to Merritt. Hurry kick around the body for the Bombers. Attacking it, Durham, and straight into Williams. Got tackled. That'll be holding the ball.
That was good footy, wasn't it? A hard attack on the ball by Durham, and then a great tackle by Williams.
He's come along in leaps and bounds this year, Bailey Williams. Literally as a ruckman. Aggressive. Hands it off to Witherden. Now Hunt has to backtrack away from Menzies. Back to Williams. Draws two to him. Allows Hunt to be free, and that's where the hand pass goes. And then he'll move it by foot to Duggan on centre wing. The switch of play is on here for Bazzo. Takes it at left half back. Kicks it out to Barris at right half back, and then a probing kick to Clark, just shy of the logo, southern wing. He'll kick it long down the line. He wants Kelly, who marks. He had 2 Bombers with him. Went up to drag in the football. Has the yellow Sherrin in his hand. His 2 kicks from goal. From right half forward, looks for Allen and finds him. On the lead, Oscar Allen marks. Right up against the boundary. He'll put boot to ball from 45 out. He is deep in the right forward pocket.
Good movement by West Coast. Shifting footy the other side of the ground. Open player. Again, effective kick going inside 50. It's just unfortunate he's up against the boundary line again.
Yeah, if they're going to concede some space for Allen, they'll concede it there. But they'd still be a bit disappointed. They know he's the target going inside 50, and he got through 3 Essendon players to get that space.
It would take some kick from the captain from here. It's on its way. It's narrow. Misses to the right-hand side. A minor score, 5-10-40 the Eagles. They trail the Bombers 11-6-72. Less than 2 gone in the final term here on Grandstand AFL. The Suns have put their lead out to 22 points. 6 gone in the last up in Darwin over the Bulldogs.
3 goals, 1 for Oscar Allen on the evening. Mason Redmond with the long kick back into play. Wiedemann with a big leap. Couldn't take the mark. Duggan tries to drive his legs through the tackle of Hobbs. He's not getting free. He has to hand the ball back to the umpire for a ball up. 9 times this year the Eagles have conceded a run of at least 5 goals or more. Tonight, just 3 in a row, the best Essendon can muster. So a big improvement there for the Eagles. Still a quarter to go, of course, as Kelly gets the clearing kick from this one. Long towards full forward. That's a fantastic pack mark. Getting back Ridley. And players hanging off him. Kept his eye on the football. Great judgment taking the mark. So Thatcher gives a good lead towards centre half back. Ridley thought about it. Decided to play a bit safer up the line. Massive leap. Almost bringing down the big mark was Durham. It hasn't quite been his night so far after a big finish last Saturday evening. Shocking kick from Sheed. Gains about 5 metres on the bounce to West. Inside attacking 50. Merritt picks it up and hands it back to Ridley. Another high kick to a pack. Draper with one hand to the football. It falls towards Bazzo. He's immediately tackled by Menzies. We'll get a ball up left half forward for West Coast. It's a 32-point deficit for the home team 3 minutes into the last quarter.
3 Bombers have had 24 disposals. Martin, Merritt, Ridley. Best for the Eagles. Hunt with 28. He's Witherden now. It's away from a couple. Sends it deep inside forward 50 for West Coast. Umpire spotted a holding decision. Oh, the Eagles fans thought for a moment it was going to be Rotham's. It's gone the other way. Frustration for West Coast supporters right around the ground as the Bombers switch play. Laverde kicks towards left half back. Ridley to Martin and beyond defensive 50. This is Heppel. He's got it just shy of left half back. He spots up the lead coming from Stringer. He marks as well. Essendon's lead 32 points. Early stages of the last at Perth Stadium. As Stringer switches, plays Zirk Thatcher. Would have known that Rotham was coming. Stayed cool, took the mark and pops it short. He's running towards right half back was McGrath. He'll move it short to Merritt. So we disposal 25 for him, but it's a turnover down the throat of Barrett, just shy of centre wing. Hands it on to Kelly. Kelly looking to put it into the left forward pocket, has spotted a teammate going down to take the mark. 50 out his own Neil. Hoff's on in the left forward pocket. It's popped in his direction and he'll take the mark. This will be a tough kick at goal. Shooting much tighter than a 45-degree angle from about 47 outs.
He's been all right tonight, Brady Hoff. Wasn't getting much of a run early in the year, which I didn't quite understand. After a pretty promising first year last year, slot back onto a wing tonight really comfortably.
The 20-year-old has never kicked an AFL goal. He'll have to carry about 53 with this. Boots cross the 50. It's on its way. It's out to the right. He won't be opening the account with that. It'll land at right full forward. Good mark too. Goodness me. Going up to take that and drag it in was D'Ambrosio, the sub, who's on for Bryan for the Bombers. West Coast also have activated theirs. Edwards out. Concussion issues, we believe. Greg Clark's in for them.
Smallest man on the field taking a mark on his defensive goal line. You don't see that too often. Kick goes to a pack at half-back. We'll get a ball up. Also certainly wasn't a like-for-like swap, was it, with Bryan being subbed out for D'Ambrosio. Ball up. Williams theatrically leaping in the air, exaggerating the push in the back, getting the free kick. Well, certainly there, Draper just overdoing it. And now Williams is too far out to score. So he's looking at all the options. He's got Allen trying to make a bit of a move to the pocket. It won't get that far. Sliding in from the side to take the mark is Laverde. He pokes a kick in the direction of D'Ambrosio. Can't take the mark this time. Hand passes to the advantage of McGrath, who swoops through and zigzags through some traffic. Gives it away to Hobbs, who kicks right across half-back. Hits up his teammate, who's able to take a comfortable mark at right half-back in Snelling. He'll go backwards to Heppel, and we'll see Essendon go back into this slow play. The kick mark, control possession. Redmond has it at defensive 50. Short again to Andrew McGrath, the Rising Star winner of 2017.
Plays on by hand to Redmond and runs down the line and then kicks towards right half forward for Essendon. Sticking the arm out, trying to drag it in. Then was Langford, spills to ground, picked up by Hearn for the Eagles. Now it's with Foley, got the arms free, goes back to Bazzo, to Duggan, to Hearn. From left half back, the kick had to be precise. It was across half back to Hunt, to Gaff, to Hunt again, who's at centre half back. Long kick towards the outer wing, waiting for it. That man I spoke of, Long exactly. Noah takes the mark, just shy of the logo. Pauses for players to stream forward. Elects to go inboard with the foot pass, and he finds Hunt again. It's told to play on from the logo. The direction is out towards right half forward, and Gaff marks against the boundary line. Spin it again. Slow build up from West Coast, but the kick is now inside forward 50. Not what the Eagles wanted. Laverde is up and marking for the Bombers, and he'll move it short again. And this is Menzies who marks at the top of his defensive 50. Essendon 11-6-72. The Eagles are 5-10-40. 7.5 gone in the last.
Seemed like a few Bronx cheers for Andrew Gaff. He might be the whipping boy now with Jack Darling out of the side. Been a quiet night again for Andrew Gaff with just 12 disposals.
Just like his confidence is not there to go forward with the ball. Everything, even that handball there, and the open player was out there on the other side. He just tried handball backwards.
Essendon again going with the kick mark play across half-back. Nick Martin has it. Thought about pulling the trigger. Now he does chip a little short one into Heppel. Sliding in, he juggles the mark. Hand passes back to the runner in Martin. Little chip pass is clever. They've worked this beautifully. Very patient build-up from Essendon. Snelling marks 30 metres out. He spotted a man in the goal square. Barras gets back to make the spoil. A goal-saving spoil from Tom Barras. And it hasn't been Wiedemann's night. He might have been one of those players who thought it could be a big one coming up, taking on the Eagles. He's goalless so far. That behind makes the margin 33 points to Essendon. 8.5 minutes gone in the final term.
Able to hold the Bombers out for 8.5 minutes, the Eagles. It's their first score of the quarter as the ball goes through Bazzo and then to Clark and kicks towards the outer side. Laverde punches it away from long and spoils it across the boundary line for a throw-in. 11-7-73 Essendon. West Coast 5-10-40. Reminds me of the question we get on Sports Talk at least once a week. Why is that not deliberate? Had no other option but to punch it over the boundary line. I know it shouldn't be. I'm just throwing it up there. Kickers towards left half forward and going up was Bazza. Oh, his hand passes straight to an opponent. Snap on goal. It's exactly what the Eagles didn't deserve. Absolute frustration as Menzie gets his seconds. You couldn't believe it. Bazzo tackled by Langford. Hand pass popped up. Just lurking by. He stuck out the left hand and Menzie snapped truly. He's got 2. Essendon have got 12. 12-7-79. The Eagles 5-10-40. 9 and a bit gone in the last.
Did everything right, didn't he, the young fella? Engaged his opponent, separated off him nicely and just spilt the mark. Really unfortunate one.
Yeah, it is. It's just so costly. And as a young player, and we talk about it, still finding his feet at the level, wondering if he belongs, but he just has to believe in himself. Like in a waffle game, he probably marks that. Yep. Just feels that intensity, that heat that's coming, feels the importance of taking it, and doesn't nail it cleanly.
It's the voice of John Worsfold alongside Shane Woden, experts here on Grandstand AFL this evening in Perth. The Bombers by 39 points. The Eagles did get back to as close as 11 points midway through the second quarter, but it's been 6-1 since then. The Eagles come out of the square this time. A hand pass from Jinby towards Kelly. Kicks in the Waterman direction from 3 back. He stretches, can't quite take it. Crumbing it is D'Ambrosio. Hands it away to Ridley with the left boot. Spots up Hobbs on the wing. Promising build-up here from the red and black. Hand pass away to Merritt. Clever kick across the body. It bounces its way to Martin. He gathers 60 out. Chip pass inboard. Snelling drops the mark this time. Ball falls behind. He moves it on quickly. Here's Wiedemann. And Wiedemann marks deep in the left forward pocket. Can go back and line up for the Dons' 13th of the night.
Best on Martin tonight. For mine anyway. He was 28. He's had 20 kicks.
He's got them all over the ground, hasn't he? He's got them back deep in back 50. And
now Wiedemann's rushed this one and he's hooked it too much and he's missed. So Wiedemann's dirty night continues. Taking a few grabs but unable to hit the scoreboard, certainly from a major point of view. Essendon now double the Eagles' score. It's 80 playing 40 midway through the last quarter.
Hearn went on a run up the corridor. Kicked that way as well to Hoff in the middle of the ground. Bursting through. Hunt, his hand pass only found Hind. Bombers can bounce away again through Snelling. Kick from Perkins inside forward 50. At the back, Langford tapped it away from Barras. Ran into him and went to ground. Umpire says play on. Menzie tried to slap it back and it bounced off his own leg and then took a tumble across the boundary line. It'll be a throw-in deep in the left forward pocket for the Bombers.
Played that pretty well. Barras coming out without giving the free kick away. He had to get some physical contact, but he has probably picked up a corky in the process.
He did go at him hard, didn't he?
No luck at all for West Coast injury-wise. Hopefully he'll be okay. It's thrown in. Oh, Hobbs. He's able to get to it. He snaps and from the left forward pocket he goes. That's a wonderful goal for his seconds. And they're starting to run away with it now, the Bombers on the scoreboard. 13-8-86 to 5-10-40. 12 and a bit gone in the last. Williams won the tap. Hobbs was in the right spot, threw it straight onto the boot and kicked his second.
And no physical pressure on him as a mid at that stoppage. No D50.
No, just a little bit of movement created a bit of confusion. Two young West Coast players didn't know how to do the handover, which left him in a bit of space. But another clean forward 50 stoppage goal for the Bombers. They've worked that pretty well tonight.
They certainly have. Might be their third, fourth, seventh goal from stoppage tonight.
7 goals to 3 in that category. And the Eagles need to hang on here.
Correct.
It's just starting to show some signs of falling apart. The effort they've put in tonight, they don't deserve to be blown away. They'll go forward with a soccer kick here from Williams, out the front edge of the centre square. Attacking it in the opposite direction is Ridley, who's playing a fine game, and his kick is outstanding to Guelphy. Diving forward, takes a good chest mark right beneath our broadcast position. Really had to work hard to get onto Essendon's list. Missed out in his draft year. Went back to Claremont, played some Waffle League footy. Eventually got a spot for Essendon. He goes backwards to Zirk Thatcher. Kick goes now to Redmond at defensive 50. Crowd starting to thin out a little bit, as well as a few Eagles fans heading for the exits. Redmond towards the wing has really set Martin a task here. It bounces about 5 metres in front of him. Skids further away. It's out of play. Not deliberate though. Boundary throw in right on centre wing. Southern side of Perth Stadium. It's a 46-point lead to the visitors. The Bombers 13-8 lead West Coast 5-10.
Ball to be spun back into play. Suns, by the way, by 13 points. 18 gone in the last against the Bulldogs in Darwin. Clark stumbles and then loses his footing. Goes to ground. The ball spills away and back over the boundary line for a throw-in. So you heard in the background 39,269 the crowd figure announced. So the first time these two teams at Perth Stadium have had a crowd of lower than 40,000 for all that was, just a couple of hundred. On in again, Rotham does the ruck work, won it down, but Wiedemann was there. Got it away, and Ambrosio kicks towards centre half forward. McDonald, Tip and Woody. Has he been giving away the free kick he was, holding his opponent. The Eagles look to play on quickly. And they'll move it towards left half back. Chance here for Xavier O'Neill to set something up. They'll stab the pass short to Duggan, hands it back to O'Neill. Running on is Witherden, and run down by Snelling. Got him for incorrect disposal. The Bombers will take the advantage. To Martin, snaps around the body, gets it onto Guelphy. Running by was Hobbs, got the hand pass from Guelphy. Then Hobbs kicks out towards Redmond, deep in the right forward pocket. He runs to about 25 from goal, elects to chip it short. It's marked right next to the right hand behind post. And a chance for Langford to go back and kick what should be his fourth.
Costly turnover by West Coast.
Yeah, good pressure.
Good pressure.
Snelling, keeping that heat on, and Eagles caught out there. Langford should nail this.
So close. Welcome to the commentary curse, John.
Oh, I love it.
Smashed it into the right hand goal posts. We've all done it hundreds of times, myself probably thousands. Minor score, 13-9-87 the Bombers, 5-10-40 the Eagles, 16 gone in the last.
Quick movement back into the field of play. They've worked it to Bazzo and now Clark on the wing. Short pass to a hit-up lead from Waterman. He'll go backwards with his kick and it's chopped off. D'Ambrosio steals the footy, takes the mark. He can run this to 50 and have a shot if he wants. Got McDonald, Tip and Woody inside. He goes long himself. It's a wonderful kick. No, just missing to the left. The Essendon fans up in level 3 in the left forward pocket were riding that one home. And they judged it wrong and they fooled me. 48 points is the lead to the Bombers. 17 gone in the last quarter.
Wasn't far away. Eagles just desperately hanging on here. They don't deserve to have this game blown out, but it's what might happen if Essendon can start to kick truly. The kick towards the commentary wing. Oh, big collision. Redmond crashed into O'Neill. Redmond's okay. O'Neill's still down. Bombers have the football. Caldwell moved it to Redmond on true centre wing. Spots a teammate in space, Langford. He marks it right half forward. Pauses to look for options. Goes across half forward. Marking at the top of the attacking 50 is Perkins. Perkins gets around Gaff. Sends it towards goal. He's missed the lot.
Martin was on inside 50 twice.
No change to that score. Watching again that big collision between Redmond and O'Neill. No wonder it hurt. Right in the side, O'Neill.
Just turned his body the wrong time, didn't he?
It was poor kick to him too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Forced him back into the contest.
Oh, coming out of defence, an ordinary kick this time from Duggan. Tried to really pinpoint one to Shannon Hearn, but standing in the way is Langford, who missed one moments ago from about 10 metres out on a tight angle. This one will have to kick from 50. The angle only slightly better than what it was last time.
Yeah, another poor turnover kick coming out. That's been the last 5 or 6 minutes. The Eagles been out trying to set up some attack, and skillers have let them down, and that is partly fatigue.
5 goals against Gold Coast earlier this season, 3 against Collingwood. This for 4 tonight against the Eagles. He won't quite have the carry. In from the side, Barris with a fist. The Bombers arrive in numbers to apply a good tackle, and they'll get a ball up. Petruccelli was the man sitting underneath a couple of Essendon players, right in the middle of the goal square at the city end. Goal umpire tosses in the air. Rotham, the ruckman, down to Barris, who slaps it through for a rush behind. And the margin continues to creep out. It's now 49 points in favour of Essendon. We're a minute away from time on in the final quarter.
Bulldogs have surged back in Darwin. The Suns lead by now just 1 point. 23 gone in the last there. 12-5 plays 11-10. 77-76. Suns still in front. 23 gone, repeating in Darwin. The Eagles move it to right half back. It's off hands of the pack. Clark was there and then over for a boundary throw-in. One thing for West Coast, whatever it is, if they can sort of keep it at about this margin, it would still be their best result since round 2. After what we've seen in recent weeks. Thrown back in again. Chance for Martin to get onto it. Swept it forward. Comes to Merritt. Wants to share it. Could have gone back to Guelphy. Instead gives it to Perkins. He gets by Kelly. Kicks towards full forward. Touched on the way through, so Durham couldn't have a shot. Hands it off to Snelling. He can! And he'll kick another goal for the Bombers. He's got a couple now, Will Snelling. And Essendon have 14. 14-11-95. The Eagles 5-10-40. It is becoming a procession for the Essendon Football Club. Their lead out to 55 points as we hit time on in the last.
That's really just the amount of how easily they've been able to get scoring shots. Because the Eagles have actually restricted Essendon's inside 50s pretty well tonight. Kept them to 43. They're even at the moment, but they've had 25 scoring shots from those limited inside 50s, which has really hurt the result of the game.
It's 5 goals on the bounce now for Essendon, so it's the 10th time this year that the Eagles have conceded a run of at least 5 goals. That's in 11 games of footy. Twice conceding 12 in a row. Geelong and Hawthorn really cashing in. Out of the middle, the Bombers go again. Merritt, a hand pass to Draper. He's knocked off the football, though. The Eagles hold things up. Draper a little slow to get to his feet, but I think he's going to be okay.
They're going 100% Essendon inside 50 to score ratio this last quarter. 3 goals, 5 from 8 entries.
Come from turnover too, haven't they? Eagles turnover.
Williams and Draper tangle once more. Hand pass comes out towards D'Ambrosio. Now another one puts a teammate under pressure in Martin. He coughs up the footy. Here go the Eagles through Kelly. Awkward kick. It's a torpedo in the end. No clear target. And Zirk Thatcher playing in front of Oscar Allen takes the mark at defensive 50. Kicks out wide. And D'Ambrosio, who's enjoyed a run since coming on as the sub, he takes the mark.
Plays on to McGrath. Coming into Martin. Has to backtrack. Kick was poor this time. Chopped off as Clark marks forward of the wing. Puts it inside forward 50. He wants Waterman. Zirk Thatcher going back, but Waterman marks. Took 2 grabs. Was able to ride the body contact from the side. Can have a shot from the right forward pocket, putting boot to ball from 45 out.
It's his first mistake, Nick Martin, tonight. Try to bite off a little bit too much. Like to see him finish this one, Waterman. Need to score.
Has 1 goal tonight, Waterman. Crosses the 50. From 45 out, kicks on its way. Oh, that's not pretty. He's missed everything to the near side. Out of bounds on the full. 14-11-95 the Bombers. 5-10-40 the Eagles. No change to that score. 23 gone in the last. Suns back to an 8-point lead in Darwin. 27 gone in the last there against the Bulldogs.
Essendon switching play and bringing it to the broadcast side. Snelling with the loose footy. Slaps it now towards Redmond. Goes backwards by hand to Martin. Confronted by O'Neill. Spun in the tackle. Can't get the hands free. It's holding the ball. Well done by Xavier O'Neill. Winning a free kick for his side here at left half forward. As Gaff short, thought about it twice. But decides in the end to go back and take a longer kick. Maybe set it up for his key forwards. It's a high ball. Bailey Williams is deep. Waterman circling as well. In from the side comes Jinby, an unlikely flyer. Perkins waiting down. Spun in the tackle, gets a hand pass away. Foley goes to ground, can't gain possession. Redmond does. His kick was smothered right up against the boundary there by O'Neill, and it's out of play. Bombers by 55, just 3 minutes remaining in the game. Essendon get a look at North Melbourne next week at home on Sunday, while the Pies will come to town and take on the Eagles. Could be top versus bottom, assuming Collingwood knock off North Melbourne tomorrow.
Spun back in. Williams palmed it down. Yode looked to work it forward to Gaff. Threw it on the boot. It's inside forward 50. Redmond was there. Marks defensively for Essendon. Spots a teammate too. Merritt is able to mark, and Wifferton gives away 50. So bring Merritt right into the middle of the ground. He'll play on quickly. Bomber free, just inside forward 50. Hobbs marks. Does he go and have a long-range shot? He's got 2 tonight himself. He's taken out the mouth guard. I think that's what he'll be trying to do. No, pops it back in again. Takes a deep breath. Redmond running by, calling for it on the outside. I imagine it's ignored by Hobbs, who thumps it towards goal. Hobbs from 52 metres out. Up was Wiedemann right on the goal line. Couldn't mark. Barris got a clearing kick away in the left back pocket to Allen. Moved it on to Jinby. Back to Hunt. Kicks around the body towards left half back.
Can't quite clear defensive 50. Essendon to load up again through Redmond, back into the pocket. McDonald, Tip and Woody's there. Off hands it comes to Langford. Might have been tackled high, no. Tackle was okay. We'll get a ball up. 25 out from the Essendon goal city end. 55 points the gap. It's another loss for the Eagles by 40 points or more this season. Had the tight loss in round 1 and then a victory in round 2, but it's been all blowouts since then. Chain of hand passes, dangerous. Hunt's coughed this one up. Lucky Bazzo was there. Hand pass to Barris and off to Gaff. A long kick. Again, doesn't quite clear the area. And both Yo and Durham pop their right hand up in the air just to guide the ball over the boundary for a throw-in. 50 metres out from goal for Essendon. They lead by 55, dying stages here at Perth Stadium.
Ball spun in. Williams front position, won it down. Came to Allen, moved around to Duggan. Kick towards the commentary wing. Draper in front of Allen. Allen got hands to it. Heppel taps it back in the Draper direction. Looks to gather himself, Heppel. And then right with him, O'Neill, the ball across the line next to the Essendon interchange gates. Ball to be thrown back in. Suns by 7. Half an hour gone in Darwin over the Western Bulldogs. 13-6 plays 11-11. Spun in again. Williams front position. Want it down for the Eagles. Look to slap it back. West tries to pick it up. Surrounded by Bombers. Got a hand pass out the side. It came to Gaff. Got the arms free. Clever hand pass to Kelly. Kelly kicks towards left half forward. Redmond couldn't mark. Spoiled down by O'Neill. Bombers have it again. McGrath stabs it to Caldwell. He marks it right half back. 14-11-95 Essendon. The Eagles are 5-10-40. 27 gone in the last.
The ex-Giant, Jai Caldwell, towards half forward. Wiedemann bumped off the football. Slapped forward by Menzies to the advantage of Langford. Has Merritt cruising by to receive the hand pass. Kicks across the body with a bounce pass to McDonald, Tip and Woody, who misses to the right. It was all set up beautifully. A little sidestep bought himself some time and space, but he pushed it wide. And both teams have missed some golden opportunities throughout this game. It'll be Essendon's 4 points to take back to Melbourne. They lead it by 56.
The Eagles kick beyond defensive 50. They move it through Waterman. Then Duggan to West, by hand to Long. Bounces a hand pass to Kelly. Turns, he wants Oscar Allen. One-on-one battle against Heppel. Surely a free kick going Allen's way. He's got shoved. Heppel went right into him. And Allen will go back, and he will have what will be the last shot on goal for the night.
Elbow on the throat.
It's just Heppel trying to get himself set, took his eyes off the ball. That's one of the tougher skills to do, if he could keep his eyes on the ball, but then if he does, that allows Allen to maybe step into his pathway and block him and come back on the footy anyway. So I think either way, it was either going to be a free kick or Allen would have had the sit of taking the mark. Deserves to finish with another goal, Allen.
It's just going to be a matter of the margin. The Bombers are going to claim back-to-back wins to move to be 6-5 for the season. Oscar Allen, the skipper for West Coast tonight, has 3 from 20 metres out. He kicks his 4th. A goal to finish it for West Coast, but the Bombers will celebrate a 50-point win over the Eagles. Essendon 14-12-96 to the Eagles 6-10-46.
Up to win the premiership flag. Our boys who play this grand old game are always striving for glory and fame. See the Bombers fly up, up. The other teams they don't fear. They all try their best, but they can't get near as the Bombers fly up.
So the Bombers, they move back into the top 8 with a 50-point win over the West Coast Eagles. They led by 10 points at quarter time, by 24 at the major break. Pushed that to 33 at three-quarter time to win by 50. Langford kicked 3 for the Menzie 2 to Snelling, and singles to Drape up to Perkins, Stringer, Redmond and Guelphy. Hobbs kicked 2 as well. For the Eagles, Oscar Allen with 4.
See the Bombers fly up, up to win the premiership flag. Our boys who play this grand old game are always striving for glory and fame. See the Bombers fly up, up. The other teams they don't fear. They all try their best, but they can't get near as the Bombers fly on.
As the table stands now, Essendon up into 7th. And a percentage boost from 102.6 at the start of this game to 107.9 puts them ahead of Wallyup on the ladder as we speak. Geelong, of course, losing today. Adelaide to play tomorrow. They can surge up as well to 24 points, and indeed a big enough win if they are able to beat Brisbane could indeed jump over the top of the Bombers and push Fremantle and the Dockers outside of the 8. That is all to come tomorrow, mind you. The other goal kickers for the West Coast Eagles, Petruccelli and Waterman. But a 50-point win to the Essendon Football Club. 14-12-96 to the Eagles, 6-10-46. With you for another 21 minutes here on Grandstand AFL. Akash Fodadar is headed down to the Bombers' rooms. We'll see if we can get an interview from them for you. But in the meantime, before we also get the stats from Dave Lindsay and the votes, let's get the thoughts of our experts tonight on ABC Sport. John Worsfold and Shane Wowo.
I think we can question the effort, Bush, from West Coast tonight. I thought it was there for majority of it. They probably just fell away in that last with their intent. That might be just due to the fatigue with the young group, but just the polish at the end of the day, I thought really from West Coast probably let themselves down, and Essendon capitalised on it.
I absolutely agree with you, mate. I think the effort and intent was definitely there. They were a couple of goals behind each quarter, and then the floodgates opened a little bit in that last quarter. So yeah, look, that's where they're at. That's the reality of it. I think we all thought Essendon by a reasonable margin pre-game. West Coast did make them work for it. They actually won the inside 50, so that's a pretty good effort. That is holding Essendon to not getting those floodgates. If the ball had gone inside Essendon's forward 50, 60 times, it would have been an 80-point margin. So they hung in there and squared the ball at either end of the ground, but just gave Essendon too many easy shots at goal through poor turnovers.
Yeah, it's a good effort. They probably had more winners over the ground. Just their ball use, their backs really use it well. Redmond, Ridley, McGrath.
Yeah, McGrath. All young guys, those guys are all 24, 25 again. They've played a lot of footy. They've those guys have been in the side for a number of years now and are starting to be the real core players for the Bombers, especially coming out of that back half. Heppel's the old man down there that is just giving them that steady head, but even Laverty is still only 28, so they're Zirk Thatcher still pretty young. So they're a young defensive group, but they have played now a fair bit of footy together, and they do run and use it well, absolutely.
Find that good mix, don't they? Because they're not big backs, are they? They don't have like a brass.
They're not. No, they're still vulnerable. I think it was a number of weeks ago, Zirk Thatcher really got monstered by Tom Hawkins.
That's right.
And they had no one really to go to that was big enough to take Hawkins on. Against even against Oscar Allen tonight, he had Zirk Thatcher's measure when the ball came in on a pretty even rate. So that's the one concern I think the Bombers would have. Big, strong defenders that are going to be a hold up against the really strong teams who have gun key forwards.
Yeah. And Wiedemann's still young in his footy journey too, is a big key forward. They miss Peter Wright, I think, too.
Absolutely, they do.
Just to be able to help Wiedemann out there.
Yeah, Harry Jones, good young forward coming through. They've got some good tall forwards. Tall, strong defenders is the area they'll be looking to bolster, I think, whether that's via a trade or I'm just trying to think of who's on their list that's not currently playing as those key defenders. But they've got a couple of tall kids there that might come through. But Zirk Thatcher on his own, with Laverty playing as that other tall, they're vulnerable against the big forwards.
So for the Bombers, next week, we've got North Melbourne. It's the late game at the Docklands, while West Coast, one of the few blessings that the club has had this year, do have the ability to stay home for a week. Collingwood will travel across to take on the Eagles here at Perth Stadium. That is the day game on Saturday. So the Bombers, 2 more games before they face the bye. Essendon, as I mentioned, North Melbourne and then Carlton. They have the bye in round 14, while West Coast to come, Collingwood here at Perth, and then they'll take on Adelaide in Adelaide before they have a bye in round 14 as well. If you're a West Coast supporter, I imagine you'd be going home disappointed with the way that the game played out, but surely happier with the effort that we saw today from what happened last week. And I guess it is the situation where, because of where they're at, because of their youth, because of the players that they've had coming in, the last quarter's usually where these things tell. How did you assess it, John and Shane?
Yeah, I agree. Teams that are lacking in confidence, but generally because they've got a younger group out in the field, will naturally fatigue as the game goes on. It's not through effort, but their skill level just drops away, and it only has to be a marginal drop for the opposition to pounce and make the most of it. We saw a couple of really poor kicks from West Coast, maybe 4 or 5 coming out of the back 50 in that last quarter. One that I think was O'Neill, wasn't it? Got a big knee in the guts because the ball should have come boundary side for him to run onto an uncontested mark. It went inside, he had to turn and run back into the traffic and cop that. So, yeah, they coughed the ball up, which hurt you going back the other way. But the effort was there. That we saw even Yo did some really good things. You can see his maturity out there, but he still missed a couple of kicks and fumbled the ball more than Elliot Yo when he's in best and fairest winning form. Yeah. So he will pick that up over weeks. If they can keep these guys on the park and slowly bring some more guys in, they should be confident that they can push some guys, especially at home, in the second half of the year.
Likes of Luke Shuey expected to be back just after the bye. Same to Petreski, Seaton, Darling another week or 2 after that. McGovern a few weeks after that as well. The Bombers, they had to wait for the People's Mullet to make his way back to them in Sam Draper, but they're heading down into the rooms. Akash Fodadar is there. Akash.
Thanks, Clint. Yeah, the Bombers players all just piling in now. There is a big group of family and friends here, quite loud, and a bit of a Nick Hind fan club as well, which was probably not the person I was expecting the fan club here in the West to be, but they're all just circling up, as you mentioned, just waiting on Sam Draper, obviously another very popular Bomber, and they're just about ready for the song now. Here we go.
See the Bombers fly
should have a chat with Nick Martin very shortly.
One of the West Aussies to join us from the Bombers. Thanks, Akash. We'll head back to you very shortly. Repeating the results tonight, Bombers 14-12-96 to the West Coast Eagles 6-10-46, and up in Darwin, the Suns by 7, 13-6-84 to the Western Bulldogs 11-11-77. Before we hear a bit more from our experts and get their votes, from Shane Woden and John Worsfold, let's have a look at some of the numbers. Dave Lindsay's got them in front of him.
They're pretty tight for most of the night. Essendon taking control in the last quarter in a number of the categories. They finished plus 23 for total disposals, 390 to 367. Their biggest advantage was in contested possessions, 129 to 104 uncontested. They were just 7 ahead of the Eagles in terms of the full evening, 133 marks to 116. Hitouts were 37 to 19 in favour of the Eagles. Tackles, Essendon had 3 extra. And this man that we're about to speak to shortly, Nick Martin, finished with 31 disposals, Clint.
Let's head back downstairs. Akash Fodder.
Thanks, Clint. Yeah, I've got Nick Martin here with me. Nick, an important win there, puts you on the positive side of the ledger and has the team sitting 7th tonight. Just how important is that for the group?
Yeah, it's obviously really important. We came here to Perth and in a hostile environment, as we know that, away from home, but it was obviously a big challenge against West Coast, even though they're not flying. It's always hostile to come to Perth and get the job done.
And for yourself, of course, you trained with the Eagles for a pre-season before then being picked up by the Bombers. Had a fantastic game tonight. Is there a little bit extra for you to come over here and play against West Coast?
I always circle this one in the calendar, but to get back to Perth and play in front of family and friends. But at the end of the day, they're another team we need to get through, and I just wind myself up with the challenge.
And did you have plenty of family and friends here today watch you play back home?
Yeah, absolutely. Whole family. My friendship group, and a lot of people sort of come out of the woodworks when I play in Perth and try to get some tickets, but no, a lot of people.
Great. I'll send you upstairs some questions from our team. Clint Wilden, Dave Lindsay, Shane Woden and John Worsfold.
Congratulations, Nick, at Shane Woden. Terrific victory, mate. You probably only broke them late in the game, but probably held the lead for a good portion of the game. What was the real key focus for the Bombers tonight to get this job done?
Yeah, I think the ability to control the game. I thought we knew they were going to come out hot, obviously respond from last week, so the ability to hold that pressure and control the footy and just play our system with our effort.
Mate, and on top around stoppages earlier, I thought you were dominant in that part of the game. I think you hit 6, 7 or 8 from stoppage, but the boys in there on the move, and particularly around forward 50, created some opportunities for yourselves and were terrific in that part of the game.
Yeah, it's obviously really exciting to get a forward 50 stoppage and convert from them, especially away from home. It sort of deflates the crowd, gets the crowd silent. So any opportunity we can get to create some pressure on the opposition, and forward 50 is a really good one.
And for your own role, mate, tonight, a bit more of a high forward for majority of it. And I thought you used the footy really well tonight. It's probably one of your strengths to be able to cut the oppo up with your ball skills by foot, and a little bit less wing and more forward this year.
It's sort of been the opposite this year, actually. More wing, less forward. But sort of half time, Brad sort of came up to me and said, "You're going to play high half forward and try to get the ball in your hands and control the footy for us." And look to slice them up.
Hey, Nick, it's John Worsfold. What was Brad Scott's vibe like at half time? How did you read that? Was he still on edge? Was he comfortable that you had the game in measure? What was his message to you guys?
Yeah, it was a very similar message to pre-game, and sort of withhold their pressure. They're obviously going to come out firing, especially in that third quarter, and the ability to just hold them steady, put some scoreboard pressure on them, and the game's always going to open up late. But yeah, the message was very similar pre-game, and just sort of control the footy.
Nick, Dave Lindsay here. The team's moved back into the top 8. Do you talk about finals? Is there discussion about an end goal for this season, or is it more just development in the first season with the new coach?
Yeah, it is development, but sort of the more wins you get, the more you sort of talk about it. But at the end of the day, you got to play who's in front of you. We've played some really quality oppositions in the last couple of weeks, and we've been really competitive against them. So to sort of get back on the winning side is really positive for our group, and we're moving forward.
Nick, Clint Wilden, congratulations. I just want to talk a little bit more about what I think is such a great football story in that of Nick Martin. Do you ever have those moments, those sliding door moments where you think if you hadn't taken that opportunity to go and train, you hadn't gone across to Essendon where you might be now? Because it is a wonderful story what you've been able to achieve.
Yeah, absolutely. Sort of count my blessings that I landed at Essendon. Obviously really disappointed to not get the list spot at West Coast, but I think it's been a real blessing in disguise, and because I've landed at Essendon and I couldn't be happier.
Why do you think the Bombers have suited you?
I think they've just seen sort of my versatility. I think sort of Subi, I was playing a lot of high half forward, but they've sort of seen a bit of wing in me, my ability to use the ball, and I think they've just seen something different from other clubs.
Are you a good example, and you would have played enough against other WAFL players where clubs, maybe like West Coast at the moment, really do need to have another look at the state league, because there are players like you lurking around who can take that step back into the AFL?
Yeah, for sure. I think the Waffle and Sandford are prime examples of there's hidden gems everywhere, and you sort of put the right people in place with recruitment and whatnot, but I played against a lot of quality players in the Waffle, and there's some hidden gems out there.
What sort of difference did you have to make to your body in terms of how many kilos did you have to put on, increase your running, all that sort of stuff, to look as comfortable as you do now at this level?
Yeah, the main one was sort of my running ability. Also, I had a good sort of running ability at Subi, but when I got to Essendon, Adrian Dodoro just said, mate, we need you to become a winger and get your running capacity up. So went away for a whole month and just worked on that, and sort of now building in with a couple more pre-seasons, probably more on the putting on a couple more kilos, hopefully develop a more inside-outside balance.
So for you, for your career right now, and a last one for you, 32 games in, do you feel very comfortable at this level now?
Yeah, I'm definitely building that belief in myself, but I sort of reflect on where I was last year and how much I've improved, and I couldn't be more happy with my improvement throughout the year, and I think that's all what it's about, and that's what we're doing as a group. We're just improving, and couldn't be more happy.
Outstanding. Thank you to chat to us, Nick. Congratulations on what you've done so far, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you, my pleasure.
It's a great yarn, Nick Martin, with what he's been able to do. Burst onto the scene last year and does show that there are players about, and admittedly he's had to put on a fair bit of bulk, and he mentioned about his running effort, but there are players lurking around if clubs are prepared to take that opportunity with them. He's a great yarn.
He played more as a key forward in juniors. It's like State O'Neill's playing for WA. He was
he really?
Centre-half forward, full forward. I think they were a little bit undersized in terms of who they had up there. They didn't have massive options at the time, but he was someone who played more as a key, as he sort of said, high half forward or even mobile centre-half forward, and now he turns up as a hard-running winger.
Yeah, it's like Brad Shepard, he's 18, playing the key back.
That's right.
Remember that?
I do.
So, yeah, it's a great story. He's slotted into AFL, and he looks at home. He's 30 games into career. He's humble there, but he looks at home. Just the way he plays. He burst onto the scene, didn't he? 5 on debut or something?
Yeah, 5 on debut.
5 on debut.
192 centimetres. He's a big boy. For the position he's playing, running around, he's a dangerous player, and coming along, developing really well at AFL level. Will Snelling was similar. Was just dominating in the sandful for every week, not only through winning possessions, but he was averaging something like 11 or 12 tackles a game. Essendon saw a need at that time to bring him in, just probably more so depth. But he came in, and he's a player a bit like Guelphy that's got a great work ethic, and a role player will just do his job. Doesn't expect to get the accolades, gets the job done for him. Some of the supporters, he's been a bit of a whipping boy. They wonder why he's out there, but we saw tonight he just chimes in and does some really good stuff to help set up scores for them. Essendon, they're developing, I think, a really solid team. Still relatively young, so it's exciting. If you had have asked me my thoughts at the start of the year where they would be, I would have said they'd be knocking on the door of the 8 this year. They'd be trying to get in. Whether they would make it, they might be just short, but they've set themselves up for a good crack at it. With they need to win the games ahead. I think you said they're playing the Kangaroos next week.
Yep.
They need to nail that, because no doubt they'll have some tough opposition coming up as well. So they've got to win the games that are against teams that aren't going quite as well as them at the moment.
Well, with respect to them, they've got 2, because they've got North and then they've got Carlton to come.
And they've got 2 young kids with stress fractures too, don't they? Sitting on the sidelines as well, I reckon, who are high-end draft picks. Reed.
Yeah, it was
Cox for another 4.
Cox is one, sorry.
And, of course, there's a bloke by the name of Darcy Parish. He's not out there either at the moment. Who goes okay.
And Dylan Shield, who pulled out tonight. So they've got some good, hard-running midfielders. They've got a couple of good, talented young kids on the sidelines as well. Yeah, Wiedemann's an interesting one, isn't it? He's probably still finding his feet. Never really consolidated his spot at Melbourne. He's getting plenty of opportunity, especially with Peter Wright out, with Harry Jones out. He really wants to start grabbing his opportunities. But in saying that, it was a game of low inside 50s. There wasn't a lot of easy opportunities for him tonight. He missed a couple of shots at goal that I think he would have liked to have nailed. That makes a difference when you're looking at your performance over the course of the year, just chipping away, like Oscar Allen has done. Just he's playing in a side that's really struggling, but he's making the most of every opportunity he gets in kicking regular bags of goals.
I want to know if he's hand-passed the votes or if you've taken them on board. You doing them?
Jotted a few down.
Can you give us the ABC Footballer of the Year and the Christian Medal votes, please, Shane?
I can do. I'm going to give the one vote to Jaden Hunt tonight. I thought for West Coast, I thought he was outstanding. I thought he kept him in the game with his ability to create off half-back and overlap in nearly 700 metres gain was terrific. And Essendon sort of dominated that last quarter, but he still chimed in. So I gave him the 1. 2 to Mason Redmond off half-back. Again, I thought his quality of ball use at both ends was terrific. I think he hit the scoreboard too. And then the 3 I gave to Nick Martin. I thought he was outstanding. He's that high half-forward wing role tonight. Again, his ball use was elite, and he didn't waste one. Probably that last one he did on the far side, but I thought his effectiveness, where he goes forward, and just gave Essendon that efficiency was the best on tonight.
So that means for the Christian Medal, it's simple with Jaden Hunt shifting across to get the 3 votes.
Yep, Shannon Hearn for the 2. He's terrific tonight. Shannon Hearn on his welcome back. And I gave Oscar Allen the 1 vote. He probably could have had 5 or 6. He missed a couple tonight just to tie it up at 7 marks and a lone hand up forward. I thought he was the 1 vote tonight.
Anything else stand out for you, Dave, with the stats that we stopped to have a chat to Nick Martin?
Well, we spoke about Zach Merritt. He had 32 possessions in the end, only 385 metres gained. It'd be interesting to see how the coaches sort of rate his performance tonight, because he's ended up with the most touches for Essendon, but we probably didn't feel he had the impact on the game that a Nick Martin or a Mason Redmond did, who both had 31.
He's had 19 handballs. You know, so it was an interesting, I wouldn't say an altercation, but the coach did go to him at one of the breaks, maybe 3/4 time, and it was not, I wouldn't say it's a finger in the chest, but it'll be interesting to see what comes from that over the coming days. But yeah,
you know, it'll be in the group chat on Monday when the coaches votes come out, Shane, as we often do. How did these all come about? Wrapping things up just quickly for you, just repeating, the Bulldogs winning streak has come to an end. The Suns have won by 7 points up in Darwin, 13-6-84 to 11-11-77. And here at Perth Stadium, a win to the Bombers, 14-12-96 to the West Coast Eagles, 6-10-46. 2 games in the National Rugby League. The Broncos beat the Warriors by 4 and the Raiders beat the Rabbitohs by 7. Outstanding work, Dave, as always. Thank you to Akash Fodadar downstairs, to Adrian Sardi at the back of the box. Wowie, always good to see you.
Thank you, Clint.
Great debut, John Worsfold.
Yes,
Thank you very much for coming along.
Thanks very much. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Hopefully we'll see you again here on Grandstand AFL. Our coverage continues tomorrow. It kicks off 10 if you're in the West, 12 if you're anywhere else, with Grandstand AFL Sunday hosted by Corbin Middlemass. For SA, you're off to Richmond and Port. Everybody else will have the Sunday Footy Forum. And then it's Collingwood versus North Melbourne, leading into Adelaide and Brisbane. Thanks very much for your company from Perth Stadium. Clint Wilden saying bye for now.